And tonight, somebody in Green Bay will be chosen as the Green Bay, we hope, in the first round, will be chosen as the Green Bay Packers. Get ready to indoctrinate a new player. Coming to the podium on a bicycle, being soundly booed, is none other than the commissioner with a whole bunch of Green Bay Packers behind him. Everybody from Amon Green, James Jones, I think I saw Mason Crosby. There is a whole bunch of Packers. And the commissioner, we will go to the podium momentarily as soon as he starts to make his way to the podium. But the commissioner is going to head to the podium and officially welcome everybody in to the 2025 NFL Draft. There's Clay Matthews on the stage, a lot of kids alongside.
Hey.
Here he is.
Come on.
Welcoming the boos.
Okay, welcome to the
What a
2025
scene.
NFL Draft in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
What a scene.
People said that Green Bay was too small for this, with a population of 107,000. But we have over 125,000 people here and still counting.
It is a sea of humanity, my friends.
Obviously, Green Bay may be small, but it's mighty. Thank you all for welcoming us here tonight,
What a scene.
and hope you have a great few days.
Go Pack, go loud. Resonating loud through the crowd.
Over the next 3 days, we will welcome in the next generation of stars into the NFL and bring hope to every NFL team, and we may have a few surprises for you tonight. But first, let's hear from some of your Packer greats. Please welcome Clay Matthews, Jordy Nelson, Mason Crosby, Amon Green, James Jones, and Packer superfan Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne. Clay Matthews going to the podium.
Script here real quick, Roger, but I just got off the phone with the president, Donald Trump. He asked me to pass a message along to all 32 NFL franchises. So let me tell you what it reads here, all right? It says, my fellow Americans, the Bears still suck! Let's go! Go Pack!
Oh, my goodness. What a way to open up.
Sorry, Roger. I'm sorry.
That is unbelievable. Clay Matthews going to the podium and screaming that. That is fantastic. The official open. Well, let's go back. The podium real quick. God.
Okay, Green Bay. It's time to get the show started. Are you ready? The 2025 NFL Draft is now officially open. The Tennessee Titans are on the clock.
There you go. That is the official open of the 2025 NFL Draft. The Tennessee Titans are now on the clock, and now we wait and see if it is indeed Cam Ward. There you go, Cam Ward. Good to have everybody here tonight. I mean, what a tremendous open. what a thrilling scene. If you're watching it and listening to us, we certainly appreciate it. And by the way, I got to say this right off the top of the show to everybody that came over to Burkle's in the last 2 days and listened to the show, appreciate the show. And it didn't matter if it was our group from over in London, if it was our group that listens to us in Scotland, the fans that came up from Kansas City, Raymond, who came up from Dallas, Texas, Sam and his son Dave, who came over, which was funny because we were talking about Sam and Dave, the musical group, who came over from Colorado. Colton, our guy who calls in all the time in Green Bay, and all the great fans up in Green Bay that listen to us all 4 hours now on WDUZ. We welcome everybody and say thanks to everybody for stopping over and saying hello and joining us. Man, Grant Bills, we bring him in. What an open. What an incredible open.
Yeah, it made me laugh.
I don't know if I should have carried all of it, but I like, what the hell? It's like fire, ready, aim. We'll just ask for forgiveness later.
I just, when he said, I just got off the phone with Donald Trump, I'm like, oh, boy.
Yeah, my head went down like, oh, crap.
Because, how people are going to react to that. Right. That was quite the setup and very funny, though. I tip my cap.
Yeah, that was really, really good. Really, really good. Now we've got exactly what we've expected. We have got the Tennessee Titans that are on the clock. I see the phone call is already being placed at this point. So you would assume that, obviously you're going to have your first pick here pretty much right now. Coming up, there's 7 minutes and 58 seconds and counting. For them to get the pick in, but it's either going to be one or two. Cam Ward is now getting a phone call. It is Cam Ward who is going to have the first overall. Is going to be the first overall pick. He's going to be the new quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward is going to be the new quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. But I agree with you. What a way to open up the NFL draft. Oh my goodness, that was a lot of. The cool part about it was they indoctrinated a lot of the stuff that makes Green Bay great. You heard the Go Pack Go chant. You brought up some of the guys that have got rings and some of the guys that are going to be in the Packer Hall of Fame, and they did it on bikes. They involved the kids. They brought up early on, they brought up the choir from Milwaukee who did a magnificent job. What a great way to indoctrinate the NFL into the kind of the spectrum that is Green Bay, Wisconsin, and Wisconsin in general. That was epic. That was really, really cool. We all know, look, the rumors are still flying about who's going to do what. We understand that the Giants are frantically making phone calls. They're trying to move, whether it's up or down, or maybe even take some offers for where they're at right now. But you got to figure at this point, it is going to be Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, one of the two guys. But I believe it was Cam Ward who was picking up his phone and taking the phone call. And so we will see if indeed it is Cam Ward, as the Tennessee Titans now have just over 6 minutes to get that in. I would be really surprised if it would be Shedeur Sanders. I know that they're showing a lot of highlights via ESPN and talking about his prowess and such. But if you look at a lot of the throws he made really good throws to a certain extent. But it was also a lot of his wide receiving core. I mean, his wide receiving core is fantastic when you talk specifically about Travis Hunter. So Shedeur Sanders, obviously, he's a guy that, many people seem to think, could have been in a high first-round draft choice or maybe not even a first-round draft choice. But nevertheless, it is, we believe it's going to be Cam Ward. Cam Ward just picked up his phone when the Tennessee Titans, when they showed the video into their, whatever they call their war room now, but into their war room as they were picking up the phone to make a phone call. And then all of a sudden Cam Ward's phone was ringing. So Cam Ward being welcomed in to the NFL. He's going to have to walk down the long hall that we had a chance to see yesterday, which, by the way, something of note, when you watch them walk down the hall and they come through that hall, from the Resch Center, the green room, into the tunnel, and then up towards the stage, there's going to be all the logos of all 32 teams. And it looks like they're almost fake. Like, there's no way those are big, giant pieces of wood. They are. They're big, giant pieces of wood. And every piece of wood is reclaimed wood. And it was done by a master craftsman here in Wisconsin, who not only custom made all of those pieces, but painted all of those pieces for the logos of each and every NFL team. Did you know that, Grant? Just thought I'd throw it out there.
No, I did not.
Yeah. So
something to do every day.
When they walk down that hall, all those pieces of wood, and I think they're going to be auctioned off after the fact for charity, but It's really kind of a cool thing how, again, they indoctrinated somebody from the NFL. So there you have it. Welcome to everybody over in the live stream as well. We certainly appreciate it. Keith and Drew and Angela and Dave and JDM, even though he's a Skull fan, he's a Viking fan over there. Good evening to everybody. And we certainly, again, welcome you in as we bring you pick-by-pick coverage of the NFL draft. But Cam Ward, he has not gotten up yet, which I think is rather interesting. His phone was ringing, so maybe I thought maybe it was the Tennessee Titans calling, but his phone was ringing, so maybe he just hung up, and now he's getting ready for whomever it's going to be that's going to pick him up and then escort him from the green room into the auditorium there, the makeshift auditorium, and then make his way up to the stage. As you know, they do this for the first round effect as well, where they kind of take their time. They're trying to draw it out a little bit and make it's a made for TV event. Let's be honest. So it's going to be maybe a couple of minutes, and then just as things wind down, as right now you're sitting here with what they say the pick is in, which I think we all know, with just under like 2 minutes left to go before they have to escort him up. But you assume that it's going to be Cam Ward. And what they're going to do also, here's the other thing, as they walk through that tunnel, whatever hat of the team that has chosen them, they then stop at a mirror that is a camera behind it. It's a one-way mirror. And with the camera behind it, they then put the hat on. And it shows them putting the hat on. Here's the commissioner coming to the podium now, Roger Goodell. And he's got the first pick in the 2025 NFL draft in his hand. So let's go to the podium.
Come on. With the first pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Cameron Ward, quarterback, Miami.
There you go, Cam Ward, the quarterback from Miami. Now he gets up, buttons the jacket. He's probably got mom and dad and everybody back there giving hugs. Mom's crying. And he is then going to get escorted quickly over to the stage. I thought for sure when they made the pick that he would have been right then and there. Walking out to meet the commissioner. But nevertheless, Cam Ward, the first overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft. And now that puts the Cleveland Browns on the clock. Who are the Browns going to take? Because that's the big question. They've got all kinds of quarterback needs. They need an offensive tackle. They also talk about Abdul Carter, the big 6'3", 250-pounder out of Penn State, who is the highest rated edge rusher in the wait a minute, I think we've got a trade. Cleveland has traded with Jacksonville.
So Schefter's on the screen. I got to say, I have to say this. He looks like a dope. What is the tie?
Yeah.
He's got a tie and a hood and what is going on there? That looks horrible.
The Browns have traded the number 2 overall pick and a 4th round pick and a 6th round pick to the Jaguars. The Jaguars are trading the number 5 overall pick, a 2nd round pick, a 4th round pick, and their 2026 1st round pick. That's how desperate the Browns were to get out of the top, and the Jaguars are to get to the top.
That's a lot to go 4 spots.
So they either look at it this way: are they taking Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter? I would think that they need a weapon. God, they need a defensive tackle. They need a wide receiver, a tight end, a corner, a safety. Not necessarily in that order, but they're either taking Abdul Carter or they're taking Travis Hunter. One of those two, but the Jaguars are now on the clock.
You think it could be for Genty, the running back? Because they've wanted him. They were the first team that was connected to him. And then we got all this noise today about how the Bears want to move up for him.
Yeah.
So do you think the Jags said, screw it, we're not letting that happen? But that's so much to spend on any player that's not a quarterback.
I'll tell you this, CBS called it. They said that the Jaguars could be making a major move. The biggest question in New Orleans figures remain unanswered as the round 1 gets here, because they were talking about Derek Carr and the shoulder surgery. The Saints and Carr were hoping to kind of get a clearer outlook on what the injury would be. And now we're going to find out tonight whether the Saints want to get Shedeur Sanders, and maybe that's the reason the Jaguars jumped up, or or Jackson Dart, or that's a big jump, and that's a lot to pay right there.
I feel like it's probably Travis Hunter.
I think it's going to be Travis Hunter. Colorado's Travis Hunter. They're not taking a quarterback, obviously, but man, that's Jacksonville might not be the only team too, really, to move. Now, this is our first trade. Remember, we were talking about only 2 trades. Ian Rappaport was the one who was talking about this. Yeah. That he believed that it was going to be, Ian Rappaport talked about this, and he highlighted the Carolina Panthers, the Dolphins, the Seahawks, the Buccaneers, all teams to watch tonight. They also believe in the mock draft that the Jaguars were going to move up, and what they were coveting, whether it was Travis Hunter, Abdul Carr. Well, God, boy, that's a great question. That's a great question.
They gave up their second, their fourth, and next year's first. Holy balls.
Yeah.
That would be a lot if you're going from 10 to 2. They moved up 4 spots. That's it.
Right.
Holy cats.
Yeah. That is, oh my goodness. The Jaguars, that's huge. Travis Hunter is the best player in the draft by all accounts. I mean, when you talk about just overall athleticness, but whoa, that is a lot to give up. A lot to give up. And I'll tell you this, Cleveland, probably one of the smartest things they've ever done. Probably one of the smartest things they've ever done.
For all that, I mean, they might have. I bet Cleveland could have been content to pick it 2, and then they got that call, and they're like, "Well, right. Jesus, if you're going to give us all, we'll figure out who we want next." But yeah, if you're going to give us that haul, sure, yeah, knock yourself out. I think that is true. That is an offer you can't refuse. When you use that expression, that's what type of offer that is.
And the pick is now in. I just saw that. I believe. Let me check. Yes, the pick is now in. So that was really, I mean, they had their guy from the very beginning. And what we'll do is we'll take the pick and Travis Hunter, by the way, bright pink, neon pink jacket. Did you see him up with the band? They had a band playing on the stage early on tonight. And when all the players were taken behind the stage, he ended up jumping up on the stage and dancing with the band and hanging out. He's just having a good time.
This has only made me think more of Travis Hunter these last 2 days, because every clip I see is like, this is great. Look, we're in Green Bay. He's just bubbly about everything. So most likely Travis Hunter.
And that is then going to put, oh man, that's crazy for how much they moved up to get him. My goodness. Don't get me wrong. It's great for him, but that is an absolute haul for the Cleveland Browns. An absolute haul. And all they do is move back a few. They just move back a few.
And they didn't like the quarterbacks anyways. What difference does it make for them?
Right.
Especially if you're going to give us an extra first and an extra. Right. That's so many.
That's going to put the Giants on the clock. And they're going to be up next. And they were fielding calls. So I believe the commissioner's coming to the stage here. Yep, here he comes. He's walking out. And as soon as he takes the podium, we'll go to the commissioner. Here he is.
While we are here tonight to celebrate the 32 young men entering the NFL, I'm honored to take a moment to recognize a player who's made a profound impact on and off the field. The Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award, presented by Nationwide, recognizes one player each year who best represents greatness and compassion, both on and off the field and in the community. Tonight, we are proudly joined by the 2024 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year, Eric Armstead.
Okay, we'll let Armstead speak, and then they're going to make the announcement. I think it's only going to be about a minute here, and then we'll make the announcement as to who the Jacksonville Jaguars got. Once we do that, we'll take a quick break. But Fast and Furious right out of the chute. Right out of the chute.
And I just messaged you this too. I'm like, crap, I almost forgot. We got to take commercial breaks during this too. Yeah. Because I looked at the time. I'm like, wait, what time is it?
Yeah, no. We're all good. We're all good. But that's an enormous trade for the Cleveland Browns. That's probably, like I said, that's probably one of the first smart things that the Cleveland Browns have done managerial wise in a while. Because, obviously they kept Myles Garrett. They signed him in the offseason to the big contract, even after he wanted out. And they want him as the face of the franchise. They want to build a new stadium. They didn't want to get rid of him and looked like they were going through some mass rebuild. And they could have gotten a haul for him, too. They could have had about 12 picks in this NFL draft and almost reshaped their entire team. And who do they got at their quarterback now? It's Joe Flacco, right? They picked up Joe Flacco this offseason. But that was a big time trade by the Cleveland Browns. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, their pick is going to be announced momentarily. And it is Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter's mom, dad, I don't know if it's his girlfriend or his sister. I couldn't tell you. But Travis Hunter is, and he's dancing. He's dancing all the way up. The whole family's dancing, as a matter of fact. But Travis Hunter, they jumped up that high to get Travis Hunter, who is now making his way to the stage. And then as soon as the commissioner, will make it official by listening to the commissioner. And then, like I said, we'll take a quick break. But being congratulated by everybody else in the quote green room, if you will, as he trots through the tunnel now and heads up. And there's all those logos I was telling you about. He's pounding on the Jacksonville Jaguars logo as if to say he's happy to be going there. But that's all the logos in all the divisions as you work your way toward the stage. And then you find yourself standing in front of the mirror, as I had talked about, where you put on your new hat and you get a little glimpse of yourself. You're looking fly. And now here we go. This is going to be the pick. And I think the commissioner already made it. While they went to Travis Hunter, the commissioner already made the pick. All right, let's do this. We'll step aside. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll continue on. This is live coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft right here on the Bill Michaels Show. Stay tuned.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Travis Hunter on the offensive side of the ball, which he was dynamic to Colorado. Talking about the ball skills. How about the football IQ? How about the work ethic? How about counting players on the field, guys, throwing a game when he's out there playing on both sides just about every play? He's worrying about how many players were on the field. That's the underrated part of Travis Hunter. His passion for the game, his knowledge of the game, that football IQ.
Welcome back. The Bill Michaels Show, our special 2025 live NFL draft coverage continues on. Now the Giants are on the clock, and that fast, the pick is in. They need a quarterback. They let go of Daniel Jones. Let's do this. Here comes the commissioner.
With the third pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Abdul Carter.
There you go.
Defensive end, Penn State.
The edge rusher out of Penn State. There was some question as to whether or not they would go in a quarterback direction or not, but they did need some defensive line help, and they were looking for an edge rusher. Dexter Lawrence was heading forward to another all-pro season prior to injuring his elbow. They needed some help there. Brian Burns was the team's top pass rusher after he was acquired via trade last offseason, despite fighting through that groin injury. Kevin Thibodeau, he missed 5 games and continued his kind of up and down play, and the team lost Azeez Ojulari in free agency. So they needed an edge rusher. They needed additional help. They were just weak up front. And so that's the direction they went, as now Abdul Carter comes off the board. And now you've got the next up on the clock, by the way, is the New England Patriots sitting there at number 4. The New England Patriots sitting there at number 4. So you got Ashon Jeanty, from Boise. You've got Armand Membo out of Missouri, who is still there. You got just all kinds of solid players. Jalon Walker, Tyler Warren, the tight end, Mason Graham. They've got quite a few guys right now that they could possibly be going over to the New England Patriots. And New England, by the way, when you get into the New England Patriots and what they need, and you look at all their needs, they need an offensive lineman bad. The wide receiving core is thin. Now, the franchise experienced all sorts of bad fortune last year in their attempt to kind of draft and develop some wide receiver prospects, just never panned out. The defensive lineman, the Patriots spent some of their major cash flow to acquire Milton Williams from the world champions from Philadelphia. Williams and Christian Barrymore, they give the team a good 2-1-2 punch up front now. So maybe they don't go in that direction, but maybe they go in a running back direction. In this order, they need an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, a defensive lineman, an edge rusher, a running back, a tight end, a defensive back, linebacker, quarterback, and then special teams players. So do they go in the direction of a linebacker? Do they take Tyler Warren, the big tight end from Penn State? Do they go with a running back in Jeanty? Or do they go with a defensive guy up front in Mason Graham out of Michigan, the big-time defensive tackle? He was a big, beefy kid as well. Little bit fast. He's got a lot of hops to him, more so than anything. And so do they go in that direction? Or do they go with Membo, the big offensive tackle out of Missouri, and keep bolstering that offensive line? So that's it.
Patriots have spent a lot of time with Will Campbell. I kind of think that'll be the pick. And Rossini is reporting that the Browns are taking calls on number 5. So if the Bears wanted to get up for Jeanty, as has been really reported loudly, it seems almost directly from the Bears today, maybe they're in. We'll see.
Yeah. let's do this. I know that pick let's do this real quick. We got to get to a break again because we went way long in the first round. So we'll take a quick break, or in the first segment, I should say. We'll take a quick break. We'll come right back. Don't go anywhere. Live coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft continues right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. It is our 2025 first round coverage of the NFL draft. And that fast, while we were at break, just as we were coming back from break, you get it. Will Campbell, the big offensive tackle out of LSU, they needed some help up front to protect Drake May. And instead of going with a flashy pick at this particular point in time, he is a big left tackle out of LSU. He has extremely good footwork, solid long arms. Will Campbell considered to be one of the top 2 offensive linemen in this draft. And he has now been chosen by the New England Patriots. And that put the Cleveland Browns on the clock, who, by the way, that pick is now in. They did not trade it away. That means the Las Vegas Raiders are now on the clock as well. We should be hearing from the commissioner momentarily when it comes to giving Will Campbell his little bit of due on the stage. He'll get his time to shine, and get the hat on, give a hug to the commissioner, and then off he'll go. So, by the way, Will Campbell, that's an awful suit. That was terrible. I don't know what that was. It was like a watermelon exploded on him with like silly string or something. But yeah, that wasn't good.
So, I mean, congrats.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's what's tough about the draft is this is the best night of these guys' life. But like, if you have a dumb suit on or,
right,
like we might nitpick you too, but congrats, of course.
Think about this. If by chance now Will Campbell's off the board, the Raiders are now on the clock. You got Ashton Genty, the running back out of Boise State. You still got Mason Graham, the big defensive tackle out of Michigan. You got Colston Loveland, the tight end out of Michigan. There's Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State. And then Jalen Walker, the linebacker, who is from Georgia. Which way does Pete Carroll go? Because remember, they just ended up picking up their quarterback. So now do you add additional help for him in this particular case? What direction are they going to go? As the Las Vegas Raiders appear, at least, to, well, we got to wait and find out officially, I guess, the pick will be in. We're just kind of waiting. But the Browns have their pick. And then after that, you're going to wait for the Raiders, who are going to be on the clock. And Las Vegas, we all know, they have specific needs. They need they ended up trading for Geno Smith, and that should stabilize the quarterback position for a while. But running back is what they're looking for. So depending on what direction Cleveland goes here, they could either take a running back. They could always use a wide receiver or a tight end, even though they do have some pretty good tight ends. Brock Bowers led all the NFL tight ends in catches and yards last year, earning first-team All-Pro. As a rookie, by the way. But do they go in that direction? My guess would be if the running back is gone, that they may either go defensive back, one of the wide receivers, or defensive lineman. So we shall see. But the Browns are ready to make their pick, and we're going to be going back to the podium momentarily to hear from the committee. Well, I'll tell you this, first hour of this thing is flying by.
No kidding.
Just flying by. So they got to do the interview real quick with Will Campbell, the offensive tackle out of LSU, in that crazy suit. I was
going to say, you're going to point out the suit again.
Yeah, it's not even a Packer green suit. It's a green suit with really thick white pinstripes, if you want to call them pinstripes on it. But that dude's a big dude too. He's big as a house. So he's a proud New England Patriot now.
He gives a good quote. I like his Southern drawl. He has good badass O-line quotes that I've heard. Yeah.
We got Cleveland. That is, like I'd mentioned, and a real quick look at the Cleveland Browns and what they have. Obviously, Cleveland, they've got quarterback issues. They're bringing back Joe Flacco, but, they traded for Kenny Pickett. He's not going to be a franchise guy. And, they obviously by bringing in Joe Flacco, they don't believe in him. They need a wide receiver. They need an edge rusher. Running back. The big question here surrounds the the decision of Nick Chubb. Even if he returns, it's too good of a draft class at the position for the Browns just kind of ignore it. And that means that Andrew Berry, their general manager, he could end up using that day one today pick, or maybe even day two, because there are some running backs that are going to be available in the second round. Maybe he goes in that direction. But they need some defensive line help as well. So we're going to go back to the podium and get the commissioner as he makes the announcement.
With the 5th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Mason Graham, defensive tackle, Michigan.
Defensive tackle is the direction they went to give help to Myles Garrett. So I guess if you figure you can't score, you better shut somebody down. So Mason Graham, he gets drafted out of Michigan. That puts the Raiders now back on the clock. But this guy is 6'3", almost 300. He's got 32-inch arms, 9 9/18 inches when it comes to the hand size. He gets a pretty high grade. His next-gen stats are right around 85. He's pretty solid, but big baby-looking dude, short of the gruff little chin scruff that he's got. All right, let's do this real quick because I know we're up against it. So we want to go back to the clock here. And we'll go back to commercial break, and then we'll take it all the way to the top of the hour when we return. And that'll bring us to the Las Vegas Raiders, who are currently on the clock. This is your live coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft. We'll be back right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
That logo speaks for itself. But, you know, Coach Vrabel is a guy who I want to play for. He's a football guy, no BS. And I've loved everything that everybody in that building's about since the first time I stepped in there. So it was a complete honor to be able to have this hat on right now.
Welcome back. Real quick, the commissioner.
The Las Vegas Raiders select Ashton Genty.
There you go.
Running back. Boise State.
Boise State, and that's the direction they went. That fast and furious. The pick was in when we came back. Pete Carroll going in the way of Ashton Genty. And he is now a Las Vegas Raider. A Las Vegas Raider from Boise State. He is now their man. There you go. We're going to pay attention to the comments and everybody texting in and all that kind of good stuff. By the way, that now puts the New York Jets on the clock. The New York Jets are now on the clock. The new regime, that is Allen, the head coach, new general manager, new quarterback, and such. But the Jets are now on the clock. And just to kind of recap what's going on, Tennessee Titans took the first overall pick. That was Cam Ward, the quarterback out of Miami. Jacksonville jumped up and gave up a haul to Cleveland, and they took Travis Hunter, the cornerback, I should say, / wide receiver from Colorado. Then the New York Giants, they made it safe. They went with what they believed to be the sure thing, Abdul Carter, the edge rusher out of Penn State. Big Will Campbell, the offensive tackle and the long arm guy that is a left tackle for the LSU Tigers, now goes to New England. He will defend all the oncomers against Drake May. Cleveland, who was talking about trading back again, takes the defensive tackle now out of Michigan, Mason Graham, who's going to play on that big defensive front. I'll tell you this, that's a hell of a defense they have. So they've got, remember, they just paid Myles Garrett. So now they pick up the Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan, and now Ashton Genty, the running back out of Boise State. He is going to Las Vegas to play for the Raiders. And we find out that quick, the Jets, they ain't messing around. No, the pick is in, and the New York Jets will be announced their pick coming up here in just a little bit. But the Jets, you can pretty much take anything at this point. The Jets need damn near everything. So. And thanks to everybody for joining us on this day. This is always a fast and furious day. It's an exciting day, and you kind of wonder who the Jets are going to go with at this point, because they have needs. Obviously, their quarterback, wide receiver is one of their needs. What direction you think they're going to go? Now, when you look at it, you still look. Wide receivers are there. Don't get me wrong. You still got wide receivers that are out there, but I don't know if a wide receiver would be valued this high at this point in the draft. So you kind of wonder what direction they're going to go in all of this. So, boy, I tell you, man, it's going to be, I got to think, maybe an offensive lineman. Do they go offensive line at this point? Or maybe they take a tight end? Do they take Tyler Warren? Or do they go with Membow out of Missouri? Because they need offensive line help. We all know that. But do they go with a tight end? Because
you're talking about the Jets, right?
Yeah.
Mike just called in, so I was chatting with Mike for a sec. I think Membou's been the pick, but I think an underrated part of this draft, Bill, is the tight ends, Warren and Loveland
Colston
from Michigan.
Loveland, yeah.
People think so highly of these tight ends. Everyone thinks they can both be studs, but I feel like they haven't gotten talked about a whole lot.
Right. Yeah. Put it this way, for nearly as long as the Jets franchise has been trying to replace Joe Namath at quarterback, they have also been trying to find a tight end better than going all the way back to Mickey Schuler back in 1988. So they've been trying to find a tight end for quite some time. Maybe this is the time they actually take Tyler Warren off the board. But if Membow is the guy, they certainly could use some offensive line help. As a matter of fact, the ranking system out of our lads says quarterback, wide receiver, offensive lineman, then tight end, then the edge rusher, followed by linebacker, defensive back, and on down from there. So we shall see. But Ashton Genty being interviewed on the stage, and obviously everybody is fired up for him. going all the way back to Lone Star High School in Texas as they were holding a watch party. And he ends up with the Raiders. And now we wait and see what happens from there. So
that's going to be fun for just football fans just watching random games. Like if the Raiders are on Thursday night, even if it's Geno Smith and they're not awesome, like I'll watch for Ashton Genty. Hell yeah. With Pete Carroll on the sideline. That's fun. Even if they only win 7 or 8 games.
Right. Well, remember the last time he had a really quality offensive lineman, that was Marshawn Lynch, or offensive running back. That was Marshawn Lynch. And he liked to utilize the run game big time.
And I think they said on that, like he drafted Rashad Penny and they took swings at other running backs his last couple of years in Seattle. Like that's always been important to Pete Carroll.
Yeah. So we will see who as I should say, is the pick in? Is it in? Yes, it is. The Jets pick is in now. So we will find out. They went to commercial break. And so we'll find out the minute they come back. That puts the Carolina Panthers on the clock. That puts the New Orleans Saints in the bullpen. And then also the Chicago Bears, who are now waiting only a couple of picks away after Carolina makes their pick. And then it goes on from there with San Francisco, Dallas, Miami, Indianapolis, and Atlanta rounding out the top 15 picks. We're almost 8 picks into this thing, and we're not even an hour done.
Man, it kind of feels like so far, it feels like the Browns are the winners so far. They got the number 1 interior lineman in the draft, and they picked up a bunch of picks along the way. Early on, it feels like the Browns, they have to be thrilled.
Yep. And they've got next year's first round pick as well from the Jacksonville Jaguars. So you've got all kinds of fans now in Cleveland who are rooting against Jacksonville that the Browns could possibly get in a quarterback heavy draft next year, or heavier, I should say, than what it is this year. Can you imagine getting Manning? Say the Jacksonville Jaguars are just terrible, right? They're just awful. And their first round pick ends up becoming the number 1 overall pick. And there's Manning sitting there. And that falls, kind of butt backwards into the Browns' lap. Oof.
Which wouldn't be that wide. I mean, I would be shocked if they're that bad, but we just saw that with the Panthers and the Bears not that long ago.
Right.
Now, I think the Jags will be much better, and that division is much less. But still, like you give away a future first, that's such a massive asset. I can't believe Cleveland got that.
Right. That's big. I'm trying to think here. And, by the way, it's really cool. I did want to make a mention of this. Our friends from London, did you see they got mentioned on the ESPN broadcast coming into this?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. They got I guess they showed it. I didn't see it personally, but the people that came in from London, there was 5 of them. They came in and they got recognized on the broadcast. Apparently, when they flew in on Mike Greenberg's flight from ESPN. So that's the flight that they were on. Here comes the commissioner, and the Jets pick is in. Here we go.
With the 7th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Armand Membu.
There you go.
Missouri.
Big offensive tackle. Big, and he's not in the crowd. He is at home, I would assume, but they got a big party there for him. But he just got the phone call, and he's been chosen. So that's the direction we thought that they might go, because they do need the offensive line help. And which, again, last year when Rodgers was under center, the investments into John Runyon, Jermaine, even Illuminor, they panned out. And finally, the line stabilized a little bit. But, it was Andrew Thomas has played just 16 games over the past couple of seasons. Evan Neal, he appears to be kind of a lost cause. He may compete for a job at guard. Center John Michael Schmitz has provided some steady play at the center position despite fighting multiple nagging injuries, but they needed help. And so that's the direction. Again, not a flashy pick, but that's what they needed to do. So you see some big offensive tackles right now, and he plays more right tackle, Membu does, than he does left tackle. And a big dude that can run, that can get out in front of people. And you just watch. I mean, I know they're showing highlights, but he's a big boy. Now, then again, let me say this. Out of Missouri, some of their uniforms for home were all white. And anybody that big and all white looks like a dump truck coming down the street. Just throwing it out there. So, So we should let's do this. We're going to talk with Mike Clemens coming up here momentarily, and we'll talk with Mike maybe at the top of the hour. But he's got some stuff for us that he kind of recognized talking about Brian Gutekunst the other day when Goody spoke to the media on Monday and had some comments. We'll talk with Mike when we come back after the top of the hour. So just real quick, we want to get into this and recap everything. You've got Cam Ward, the quarterback out of Miami, going number 1 to Tennessee. Jacksonville picks up Travis Hunter via trade with Cleveland, the cornerback / wide receiver from Colorado. And the New York Giants, they take Abdul Carter, the big edge rusher out of Penn State. He goes 3rd overall. Will Campbell, the offensive tackle, the left offensive tackle out of the New England Patriots, out of LSU. He now goes there into New England. Number 5, the Cleveland Browns hung on to that pick. They took Mason Grab, the big defensive tackle from Michigan, after they couldn't make another trade, even though they wanted to. Ashton Genty, the running back out of Boise State, goes number 6 to the Las Vegas Raiders. Armand Membo, the offensive tackle, the big right tackle from Missouri, now goes to the New York Jets. Carolina waits for the commissioner now to come to the podium. That puts the New Orleans Saints on the clock. And you know who's in the on-deck circle? That's the Chicago Bears. It's fast and furious. 1 hour down, three more yet to go. Don't go anywhere. We got a whole lot more of our coverage here on Draft Night. The 2025 NFL Draft continues with more right after this.
Hey, Gina, did you hear about the draft?
Wayne, there's no draft at Pella.
There's definitely a draft. Right, Roby?
Yeah,
everybody's talking about it.
Pella windows are constructed of the highest quality. No drafts.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no drafts. Got it. There's more than one draft?
No, but Pella should be everyone's number 1 pick because right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get no interest financing options or free glass upgrades when you order by April 30th. Our talented designers and installers can match your unique home through dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more, along with durable and distinguished details. All Pella products stand the test of time, which is why we confidently offer the best wood warranty in the industry.
So where is the draft?
Coon. Get no interest financing options or free glass upgrades at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Ends 4/30/2025.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
When a company only does business in Wisconsin, that's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here to keep Wisconsin strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Welcome in. Hour number 2. The 2025 NFL Draft is underway. Welcome into the Bill Michaels Show, all of you watching from, as we found out when we were in Green Bay, from all over the world. Not just here in our own backyard, but from everywhere, whether it's Kansas City, Colorado, over in London, our buddy Graham over there in Scotland. We are worldwide, and we love it. Love it. Appreciate to everybody hanging out with us. Thank you. Thank you. Let's do this. Before we kind of recap what's going on with the NFL Draft, and we do have, at this point in time, Carolina And the pick, I believe, is in. Let's do this because I know I got Mike Clemens on the line, but let's hang on 1 second. Here comes the commissioner. We'll get the pick, and then we'll come back. Here's the commissioner making the announcement.
With the 8th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Teteroa McMillan,
the wideout,
Arizona.
There you go, the wideout from Arizona. They thought he could go high. He kept climbing. He started out like 23, 25, 27, and then all of a sudden, boom, in the last couple of days, his stock, for whatever reason, rose dramatically. He is a big cat, over 6'2", 6'3", and about 220 pounds. Not a fast guy, big arm span, big hands, very solid wide receiver. He is what they consider to be a really good third down back or a third down wide receiver for a guy that runs polished routes. Not as polished as Ibuka, but because of his size, many teams, including the Carolina Panthers, coveted him, and that puts the New Orleans Saints squarely now on the clock. Let's go live to Lambeau Field and talk to our guy, Mike Clemens, standing by. Mike, what's happening?
Hey, this player that just went to the Panthers with the 8th overall pick, you're right. Suddenly his stock started to rise. It even, was brought up this past Monday when we had a chance to talk to Brian Gutekunst about this Tet McMillan. I got him down at 6'5" and running a 4.48. And when you talk about 6'5", I was talking to, one of the guys here today who had spoken to a scout. They said, what he reminds her of is Mike Evans.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers player.
Right.
And do you know that when he had his pro day workout, the only NFL GM that was there out in Arizona was Brian Gutekunst.
Right.
And when we found that, I was like, whoa, maybe this guy has got the same body type that could be a replacement for Christian Watson, right?
Right.
So maybe even the Packers had some interest there, but no, he's already off the board at number 8.
So as we sit here, Mike, and talk about the trades that have gone on, the big one, obviously, Cleveland Brown. Cleveland so far, they get the guy, the big defensive lineman they wanted, and oh, by the way, they just moved back a little bit to get him. They still garnered a bunch more picks and the next year's first round pick from Jacksonville. And if Jacksonville tanks, which we don't know what direction they're going to go, can you imagine if Cleveland parlays that into Manning next year as far as the quarterback goes?
Right. And so let me ask you this. What did you think of the trade overall? The Jags giving away that much capital for Travis Hunter at wide receiver and corner. What did you think of it?
I thought that was – now, I think Travis Hunter is probably the most elite player in this draft, but they gave away a ton of capital. A ton of capital.
Well, and obviously Goody's like, I'm not doing that. I got a chart here.
Right.
I'm not giving that up. So obviously this new young general manager with the Jaguars at just 34 years old, he's rolling the dice, man. But somebody asked me, what do you think? And I said, I'm thinking about a time where the Atlanta Falcons gave up so many picks, and I can't even remember how many they were. All I remember is what they got out of it was Julio Jones.
Yeah.
So if Travis Hunter, is that kind of a receiver and corner as well, then maybe. And I'll tell you what, the smile on Travis Hunter's face, like instead of going to Cleveland and God knows what's next for that franchise,
right?
At least he knows he's going to be catching passes from Trevor Lawrence, right?
Right, Trevor Lawrence.
He's got a good quarterback.
And don't forget that the new coach, Liam Cohen, all offense all the time down there. I mean, that guy wants to do everything with the football. So I would assume that Travis Hunter is going to play hugely into his plans.
So a pretty wild trade, right? I mean, a lot of change value there. Now, something I found very interesting, and I just learned recently in the last couple of weeks. So when you talk about Brian Gutekunst and hired toward the end of the Ron Wolf era, and then, of course, under Ted Thompson in all those years, and now taking from those two eras and his 7th or 8th year as the GM of the Packers and those lessons learned, what are some of the formulas he uses, particularly when it comes to a trade? I didn't know this until recently. He uses the Jimmy Johnson start.
Yeah.
The Cowboys head coach from the early 90s that built that team with Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith and all that. That when you come into a trade like tonight, like Cleveland and the Jaguars made, Goody's sitting there looking at the chart. He says it's even a revised a version of it between that and one that they've developed. Then I asked Goody this in our press conference the other afternoon. I said, so when you're sitting back there at 23, and you see one of these big, huge trades going on. And to me, I thought of a crazy team like who? The Raiders, the Jaguars, the Browns. They always seem to be involved in this stuff. And I asked Goody, how do you react to 23 when you see these big trades, 10, 15 moves ahead of you?
I think the only time where it gets a little is when maybe you have more than one option. Like there's the player you would pick, or maybe there's a trade to move back, and you're kind of dealing with those. You're on the clock, and maybe the team you're dealing with isn't, you're not finalized, and you may want to move back. Those things can get a little tight at times. At the end of the day, you better be prepared to pick a player. I've never ever felt like when it was time to pick that I didn't have a player to pick or wasn't, but I do think there was times, okay, maybe we have a few players to pick and we were looking to move back and trying to get a deal there. And, you're on the clock and there's time and, but as far as it's no different at every point in every round, as we get close, let's say 5, 6, 7 picks away, I'm in my notes there. It's just kind of like, I kind of got the players and I got enough. Right. So if we're 7 picks away, I got 7 players. And if all 6 go before, then I got one. So, I think, but I do think that there's times when there's maybe options to move out of that pick or pick the player that can kind of get a little bit, I wouldn't say it's just tense. You're just trying to find out if that's going to work or not.
So real quick, the New Orleans Saints just took Kelvin Banks Jr., the big offensive tackle out of Texas. And when they cut to him and they showed him and his family, he's coming off the phone after getting the call from the Saints, you could see his mouth and he says, "We're going to New Orleans, baby." And the whole family erupted, which was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
So he is now on his way. The big offensive tackle, big left tackle, by the way, Kelvin Banks Jr. is now off to New Orleans, a kid that's from the South, played in Texas, and now he is heading over to the New Orleans Saints.
And we recommend that he goes to the Commander's Palace with the whole family to celebrate.
Right. Take them all there. Although, as big as that family is, they may bust some stairs on the way upstairs like we did. I'll tell you that right now. I don't think, because we weren't a big group. I was the biggest one in the group, and we weren't a big group. But that group, they could do some stair busting on the way up. That's a big boy right there.
Now, I don't know if you were able to cover this, from your studio there, but did you see what Clay Matthews said when he talked to the microphone tonight?
We carried it.
Yeah, you did. Okay, yeah. Great. I think because that was a very classic, very funny prank to pull in, and classic. Right. Your move, Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think the Bears, they're next.
They're on the clock.
I'll break it off there. I got to get downstairs for Packers. I'll call you as soon as we find out who the first round pick is.
You the man. There you go. Mike Clemens joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. Always great to talk to Mike and give us a little perspective as well. And Mike up in the suite. The Bears pick is in. The Bears pick is in. So we'll find out momentarily who the Chicago Bears are taking in the 2025 NFL draft. Yeah, what he was referring to was when Clay Matthews opened up a paper, he said it was from the president and said it's a letter he wanted to read to everybody. He said, "Oh, by the way, the Bears still suck," and did it emphatically, and the crowd went crazy. I'm sure Bears fans were booing, but Packers fans were cheering their asses off, which was fantastic. And that puts the San Francisco 49ers now squarely on the clock. And you're going to get a little showmanship now from the NFL Network people. Connie Bowl and company, they are now on the stage, kind of revving up the crowd. Or Colleen Wolfe, I should say, not Connie Bowl. Colleen Wolfe and Laura Rutledge. And they're going to do some things. And then the commissioner will be coming to the podium to make the pick for the Chicago Bears. So there you go. Let's do this real quick. I would assume it's going to be just a couple of minutes. Should we wait for the Bears pick to be in, or should we go take a quick break right now, Grant? What do you think?
Well, we got a couple of minutes before we have to take our quarter. I kind of want to hear this pick live because I think they're going to boo the hell out of whoever makes it.
Right. Yeah.
The Green Bay crowd.
So they have. They're announcing what the schedule release is going to be. Did they announce the date? I think it's going to be the 14th, 12th, 13th, or 14th, maybe 15th, something like that week in May. But that's what they're discussing right now, making the announcement of Colleen Wolfe is and Laura Rutledge right now. So we shall see. But they're announcing when they're going to be announcing the schedule, which is huge. That's a big day. It's a big date for two reasons. It's a big date because we can all sit down and begin to mark our calendars and pen in when the Green Bay Packers are going to be playing, where they're going to be playing. We already know who they're going to be playing, so we all know what's going on there. However, the second reason, it's going to be May 14th, by the way, May 14th. May 14th. So that being said, you know what we do right after May 14th is, Grant?
What's that?
May 15th is when we announce what the date is for the Bill Michaels Christmas party.
Oh, so you're more farther out ahead than the NFL is.
Right? I'm already on it, man. I'm already on it. So the Bears, they're looking for an edge rusher. And I love the fact that they're showing the Bears fans and then the Packers fans booing and then the Bears fans cheering and then the Packers fans booing, and it's fantastic. So they need an offensive lineman, another offensive line. Ryan Poles and new head coach Ben Johnson have made it abundantly clear that they want to make sure that they can protect Caleb Williams. They also could use a running back, but Cole Kmet had kind of a disappointing season last year. Do they pick up one of the tight ends to be in because Ben Johnson, here's the commissioner. Let's see. Let's find out. Here's the Bears.
Yesterday, the NFL family lost a true legend.
Yeah.
Bears Hall of Famer Steve McMichael.
Big Mongo.
My heart is with the McMichael family during this incredibly difficult time. Misty, please know that you are in our thoughts and prayers. Mongo's remarkable contributions to the game and the community will never be forgotten. His legacy will continue to inspire generations to come. 50 years ago, with the fourth pick in the 1975 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears selected one of Steve McMichael's teammates and closest friends, Walter Payton, running back, Jackson State. Walter would go on to rush for nearly 17,000 yards and 110 touchdowns over 13 seasons, all with the Chicago Bears. As you heard earlier, the NFL continues to honor Sweetness, not only for his performance and excellence on the field, but also his commitment to give back to his community with the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award. So with the 10th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft,
here we go.
The Chicago Bears select Colston Loveland, tight end, Michigan.
Wow, there you go. They went with a tight end. That's what we were thinking. Ben Johnson, we knew him from Michigan. He loves to run two tight end sets. Cole Kmet wasn't great last year. They need somebody, and they went with Colston Loveland, the big tight end from Michigan. Yet another offensive weapon to give everything they possibly can to their young quarterback, Caleb Williams. They've reinvented the offensive line. Now they bring in a tight end with what they feel is a pretty solid offense at this point now. If you're the Chicago Bears and you're kind of looking at this thing going, all we need to do is protect the guy and not have him try to make so many off-script plays. But now, in addition to that, they have got DJ Moore, Rome Odunze. They have Braxton Jones as their left tackle. They picked up Tunney for the left guard. Drew Dahlman from Atlanta, the free agent at their center position. Jonah Jackson's at the right guard. Darnell Wright over at the right tackle. And now Cole Kmet. And now they pick up yet another Colston Loveland, the tight end out of Michigan, to back him up and add depth there as well. There you go. All right, let's do this. We're going to step out. We got the 49ers on the clock as we speak. Actually, their pick just came in. How about that? But we'll wait and take a quick break and come back and get the commissioner at the podium and making the announcement for the San Francisco 49ers. Don't go anywhere. This is our 2025 NFL Draft coverage brought to you by our great friends that supplied the RV that I stayed in the last couple of nights up in Green Bay. A beautiful Thor motor coach, the 2025 Big Unit Cruiser, brought to you by our friends at Marquardt RV. 7 locations throughout the state. For all the information, for all of their choices, whether it's Alliance, Jayco, Heartland, you name it, Tiffin, or Thor motor coaches, just like we have, get a hold of our friends at Marquardt, MARKQUART, MarquardtRV.com. That is MarquardtRV.com.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
The Bill Michaels Show, our special coverage of the 2022 NFL Draft first round, brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. No draft with Pella. 0% financing, different lines to fit your budget. You can get windows right now for as low as $22 a month. That's our friends over there at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Go to PellaWI.com. That is PellaWI.com. Graham Bill's alongside. I'm Bill Michaels, back in studio after a fun couple of days up in Green Bay. Man, oh man. We will see what the San Francisco 49ers do here momentarily. Now, we assume they're not going to go after a quarterback. So the quarterback position is out, which because you got the Dallas Cowboys that are on the clock. Then after that, you got Tua in Miami. They just picked up Richardson in Indianapolis. They've got Penix down in Atlanta, Kyler Murray in Arizona, Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. I go through this because Shedeur Sanders is still sitting there. They've got quarterbacks. Seattle, Tampa Bay. Maybe Tampa Bay takes him and makes, there's a bridge there maybe for a couple of years. But that takes you all the way down to Pittsburgh because Denver's got a quarterback. Does he fall and go to the Pittsburgh Steelers after all, which it could possibly happen? Here comes the commissioner as the pick is in for the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know specifically what they're waiting for at this point. But, they're doing an introduction from a military. Hold on.
I'm here with service members from the United States Army, Marine Corps, and Navy. We are proud to announce that this year we are celebrating our 250th anniversary. We are grateful for the opportunity to partner with the NFL Salute to Service and the USO in introducing the San Francisco 49ers 2025 draft pick.
With the San Francisco 49ers
Here we
draft
go.
pick, back to you in Green Bay.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Here comes the commissioner. That's awesome.
Thank you to our men and women who serve in the United States military for your sacrifices to defend our country's freedom. With the 11th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Michael Williams.
There you go.
Defensive end, Georgia.
There's an edge rusher out of Georgia. That was another guy that was kind of linked, rumored to be with the Green Bay Packers, and he now comes off the board at number 11. Number 11, Michael Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia, is now a San Francisco 49ers. That puts Brisket Boy squarely on the clock. Brisket Boy, better known as the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones.
Now, I'm going to knock on wood when I say this, but we're already to pick number 12. I feel like there's so many players left on the board that I would love for the Packers to take. There's a handful of edge rushers. There's a handful of defensive linemen. There's receiver. I'm not sure. I know you're high on Ibuka, and I think I could get excited about that too. Corners, I feel great about how this has proceeded so far, at least from a Packers perspective. Yep, all the wide receivers other than McMillan.
Yeah. So, but this is now where he could go. So you start to think about there's some talk. You got to figure, do you pair him up with CeeDee Lamb?
I mean, I probably would. I think he makes more sense for the Cowboys. I don't know that I love the idea of Golden at 23. Ibuka's probably the wide receiver who I would be comfortable with at 23. He might be the only one.
Yeah. That's kind of like where I when you start to think about it, you're kind of mulling this over and you're going, okay. By the way, the Cowboys, if I'm not mistaken, their pick is now in, which puts the Dolphins on the clock. Remember, Tyreek Hill was unhappy. Does Golden go to Miami if the Dallas Cowboys pass on him? They could always use more help in Indianapolis as well when it comes to the offensive side of the football, because they have Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, but they could certainly add a guy like Golden into that mix. So Tyler Warren as well.
Indy, it's been said a bunch that they need a tight end.
Yep, because the only guy they got right now, correct me if I'm wrong, is they have Drew Ogletree. And he was
you would know more than I.
I think he was a 6th-round draft choice.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, he was a 6th-round draft choice from, was it last year or 2 years ago, something like that? Beyond that, they got a bunch of guys that were serving beer, and I think they were the ones that were security at the combine when we were down there. So
they were interviewing people.
They were. They were talking. Well, they asked me, and they said, "How tall are you?" And I said, over 6'5". And they're like, but can you still run? I'm like, no, not really. So I went over to do a 40, and I only made it 20. I was kicking ass at 20. Then I had a coronary, fell down about 25. And then after that, they hit me with the paddles at about 27, got up and walked to 32, crawled the rest of the way, and my time was not good. Here you go.
With the 12th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Tyler Booker, guard, Alabama.
There you go. They needed offensive line help. I was just going to say, when you start to look at the Dallas Cowboys, some of the things that they had on that list was bettering their offensive line. Remember, Zach Martin is gone. So Zach Martin has ended up, he left. So they needed an offensive lineman. And when you take a guy like a future Hall of Famer of Zach Martin, who retired, and then left tackle Tyler Guyton, he struggled in his rookie season. So then you got the fellow rookie Cooper Beebe. He was one of the top young centers in the NFL, but they needed somebody. And that left guard, Tyler Smith, he's kind of ready to take over a leadership role, but they needed another guy. And Zach Martin, the Hall of Famer, he's down, he's gone. So what do? They take themselves a big O-lineman, Tyler Booker, the guard out of Bama. Roll Tide.
Just one common man's opinion, that seems like a reach to fill a need.
Yes.
He's about 30th on the consensus big board, which is the online database where they pull all of the thousands of drafts and just average them out. Interesting that they go Tyler Booker instead of Gray Zabel, because that's the other interior lineman, the NDSU guy, who was mocked and Mock's been all over the place, but he had been up in that neighborhood too. So interesting they went Booker instead.
Yep, absolutely. And now you've got Jalen Walker out of Georgia. When you talk about the linebacker, because the Dolphins could use a linebacker. There's Derek Harmon. Boy, that's a big defensive tackle. I would love to see him continue to fall. 313 pounds, 6'5", out of Oregon. After Tyler Booker ended up going to the Cowboys at this point. So there's a couple of names that we're kind of looking at going, yeah, it'd be nice if they ended up falling to the Packers. We didn't think they would, but nevertheless, that's now you got them squarely on the clock. So the Miami Dolphins are now pondering what it is they are going to do. And Golden is the speedster who is still continually falling, but we'll see where he ends up. I think if he doesn't go to Miami, he's going to end up in Indianapolis, possibly in Atlanta. They're going to give Michael Penix another opportunity to have another guy to throw to. They picked up Marvin Harrison Jr. last year out in Arizona, and he had a pretty decent, not a great, but a pretty decent rookie season. And do they add another bookend to that? So we'll wait and see. But now you've got the Miami Dolphins are on the clock. So while we're waiting for the Dolphins, let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We got a lot more to get to. We are giving you all the live coverage. The 2025 NFL draft is continuing on. This portion of it brought to you by our friends at Potawatomi Hotel Casino, but the sports book is rocking tonight. Go to paysbig.com. That is paysbig.com. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show. Special draft live coverage coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
The commissioner just made the announcement. Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. Michigan's sending more than a few guys to the NFL draft. The Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle out of Michigan, is now a Miami Dolphin. A Miami Dolphin. So when you look at Miami, you knew they were looking for a little bit of help in the defensive tackle position. But and there's Mike McDaniels in kind of a tan suit that he got, I would assume, at Walmart from the boys department. Just throwing it out there. Did you see him, Grant?
Now I do. You know what?
What?
He actually, I went to a wedding in Mexico in March. That plays. The problem is he's just so skinny. You just can't take him seriously because you look like you just pick him up and throw him around.
When he was wearing those capri sweatpants, dress pants thing down at the combine, and he started laughing, and I thought there was a 16-year-old girl in the house. I kind of looked at him in a different light, I have to be honest. But
I don't like the capris on a man.
No.
It's not the worst thing in the world, but I don't want to see your ankles.
No,
you know what I mean, and put a pair of socks on.
Right?
Come on.
Yeah, didn't need that. So, but anyway, that being said, the pick is now in, and the Kenneth Grant, the big defensive tackle from Michigan, is now gone. He is off the board. 6'4", 331. And when you look at the next up on the clock, because you've got now the Atlanta Falcons. And there's a lot of talk there. What are they going to do? Are they going to go edge, defensive tackle? They do need a center, but you're not going to take a center this high in the draft. So I would kind of eliminate that. Maybe a wide receiver, but it's probably more defense than it is offense at this point. You look at Derek Harmon, the big defensive tackle out of Oregon. There's Will Johnson, who is the corner out of Michigan, another Michigan guy. Jalen Walker, I'm surprised that the linebacker Jalen Walker has fallen this far, but there's not a huge need for the linebacker position right now. Don't forget, Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State, is still sitting there. You got Jahdae Brown, who is the corner out of Texas. So you look at some of the top 5 or 6 guys that are sitting there. that would be some of the needs that could fill the bill when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons and the talent that is still there.
I think it's going to be Mike Green, the edge rusher from Marshall. I've seen that those two, the Falcons and Mike Green, connected a lot.
Okay.
For whatever it's worth.
Right.
For what it might be worth nothing, but that's the name that I've seen, I think, in most mocks. And he's available just about where they would have expected him to be available here. It's wild that Tyler Warren's still there.
Here we go.
I wouldn't have expected that.
Penn State.
Tyler Warren just went. You just said it. It's odd that he's still there. And sure enough, he goes to the Colts. And Tyler Warren gets chosen. You've got Atlanta. And what's really funny is they go to Tyler Warren, and they're showing what's supposed to be live, but he's getting the phone call to welcome him into the Indianapolis Colts. And they're showing the family, I guess it's his grandfather, is sitting there, mouth agape. And like he at any point in time could doze off.
I just saw it. I'm on a little bit of a delay.
His mouth is
wake me up when it's your turn.
Oh, what is he? Is he calling DoorDash? Give me some chewing tobacco and a girly magazine. So, Tyler Warren is now Warren's off the board.
Yeah, you said you'd be off the board by now.
Right.
It's almost 9.
It's almost 9. Oh, do you know I've been home from the early bird now for almost 3 hours?
Well, and it's funny because a lot of times when players slide, like remember Will Levis, it's his 10 out of 10 smoke show girlfriend who's getting antsy. Yeah. Not Tyler Warren. It's his 92-year-old grandpa who wants to go to bed.
That's it. Grampy wants to head off, So the Atlanta Falcons on the clock, and who are they going to take? So you've got Atlanta, then Arizona, then Cincinnati, Seattle, Tampa Bay, and Denver rounding out the top 20 in this NFL draft. So that's and let's just do this real quick just to give you kind of a recap. Cam Ward, the quarterback out of Miami, he went first and he goes to the Tennessee Titans. Jacksonville trades a bunch, including next year's first-round draft choice, to jump up over to take that away from Cleveland. Cleveland then goes back to number 5, and Jacksonville takes what many consider to be the best athlete in this draft, Travis Hunter, the cornerback / wide receiver out of Colorado. The edge rusher from Penn State. We knew he was going to go top 5, and he did. Abdul Carter, he goes to the New York Giants. Will Campbell, the big offensive tackle out of LSU, he goes to the New England Patriots after that. At number 5, Cleveland then takes Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. So he comes out of Ann Arbor, travels a little bit south. He goes around the lake, and then he's over there to play for the Cleveland Browns. Las Vegas Raiders then take the running back Ashton Gentry. Their new head coach, Pete Carroll, he likes the running back position. So therefore, they went ahead and grabbed that. The last time he had a big-time running back, Marshawn Lynch. New York, the Jets at number 7, Armand Membo, the big offensive tackle out of Missouri. And then Tet McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona, comes off the board to the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young has yet another weapon to throw to at number 8. The Saints at number 9, they took the big offensive tackle out of Texas, Kelvin Banks Jr., and he is going to anchor that offensive line in front of whatever quarterback happens to be the starter there. Then it was the Chicago Bears. Colston Loveland, the tight end out of Michigan. He ends up going to the Bears. Cole Kmet with a little bit of a down season last year. So the Bears and Ben Johnson, the new head coach, who was also, by the way, the offensive coordinator in Detroit, had a lot of time to watch the Colston Loveland, the tight end out of Michigan, ended up choosing the tight end. San Francisco, the 49ers, they go with another edge rusher opposite Bosa. You've got Mikael Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia, goes at number 11. The Dallas Cowboys, they lose Zach Martin to retirement. They need somebody to come in and fortify the offensive line. Tyler Booker, the guard out of Alabama, Roll Tide. He ends up going to the Dallas Cowboys. And yet another Michigan man, the defensive tackle Kenneth Grant, goes to the Miami Dolphins. And then you had the tight end out of Penn State, Tyler Warren, goes to the Indianapolis Colts. I tell you what, you've got right now, you've got a Penn State edge rusher in Abdul Carter, out of Michigan, Mason Graham, out of another Michigan guy, Colston Loveland. Then you've got another Michigan guy, Kenneth Grant, and now Tyler Warren. Big Ten, well represented in the top 14 picks there between the Big Ten and the SEC. Those two conferences dominating right now, the top of the leaderboard when it comes to the top 12 picks, top 14 picks now, I should say. in the NFL draft. And you've got the Atlanta Falcons, who are now on the clock. So, and which is about, for being almost 2 hours in, and it seemed like it's flying much faster than 2 hours, but we're going to be at pick 16 in just about 10 minutes. That puts us halfway through this NFL draft. So it's pretty much on pace to end at 11 o'clock, which is kind of where we were guessing, It seems like it's flying faster than that, but we're now an hour and 42 minutes into this thing, and we're sitting there waiting for pick 15 and the pick to be in. So there you go.
This is passing. Sometimes in the midday show, it gets to 1:30 and it feels like we've talked about everything. It's like we just got to get to 2 o'clock. This is flying by so fast because all we've done is talk about this thing for the last month.
Right.
And now I feel like a kid in a candy store or like a kid who gave up candy for Lent. And now I'm actually able to go nuts. We're actually getting some resolution on all these conversations that we've had. This is very satisfying
right now, without a doubt. So it still leaves speculation as to who the Packers may or may not get. When you start to think about it, who could the Packers end up getting as they continue to fall? Egbuka is still there. So that's one of the guys that you could possibly be looking for as of right now. Egbuka is still there. And God, when you start to think about this, who else am I thinking of here at this point? Kelvin Banks Jr. is off the board, so they're not going to go in the offensive line category. McMillan's off the board. You still have Shedeur Sanders, most likely is going to go to Pittsburgh at this point, you would assume. Man. Boy, I tell you what, some of these, Mel Kiper, he blew this. He had Kelvin Banks Jr. going 18, Ted McMillan going 20, Mikael Williams going 23 to Green Bay. So, yeah, he's missed on more than a few of these things. Look, Mel Kiper's good at evaluating talent, but sometimes with his mock drafts, it's a giant steaming pant load. It really is.
Well, and I think some of these analysts, and we've talked about this, they're so bent on the film and they're evaluating players like their numbers on a spreadsheet. And that's fine. Like if you want to rank who you think the best players are, but then you hand it over to general managers and owners with needs, like pressing needs for their teams, and some of those like rankings, the pure football rankings, they start to go out the window a little bit.
Right.
Especially with quarterbacks.
I will say this just real quick, going to the coverage. And one of the things that I thought was so interesting today when we had him on the program and we started to talk a little bit about all the coverage of Green Bay, and we had Terry Charles on. Terry Charles with PMI Entertainment. He's working with the NFL, but he's the guy that's running a lot of the entertainment stuff over there in the Resch Center. And we were talking with him, and he was giving us all the details behind the scenes. He did say this is going to be like a picture postcard, a video postcard of Green Bay. Damn, it certainly has been. Man, oh man, what a picture perfect scene outside of Lambeau Field. And then the lights are on and there's a crowd inside Lambeau Field, which is watching the draft on the Jumbotrons at both ends of the end zones. So which is what a cool scene. And then when they showed the salute to service guys and all the military members making the pick and announcing the pick for the San Francisco 49ers, then they had that shot at Armed Forces Way with the flag that also has all the pillars of all the additional armed forces over there as well. The Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, the Coast Guard and such, the Army Reserve, all of that was really cool to see that scene over there as well. So it just, what an incredible video postcard of Green Bay, Wisconsin. And God, they've got a lot of people. They said over 125,000 and counting just squeezed into that space alone, which is, as we all know, more people than go to a Packers game. But just look at that, as they got Lambeau Field all lit up and all the different colors that are up on the building and such. And so just what an incredible sight. And if you're a Wisconsinite, you got to be really up. We got the pick is in now for the Atlanta Falcons. You got to be extremely proud. As the way I know it's a pain in the butt to kind of get around the town. And if you live in Green Bay, it might have been a little bit of a hassle, but my God, what a good looking scene it is right now in Green Bay. Here we go. Here comes the commissioner to the podium. Lambeau Field off in the distance.
With the 15th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Jalen Walker, defensive end, Georgia.
There you go. Jalen Walker. He's probably the highest rated guy on the board at this point. the highest rated guy that's on the board. And finally, and he's been one of the highest rated players on the board for a while. And now he ends up going and gets chosen by the Atlanta Falcons. So he is now heading down to Atlanta. And speaking of that puts the Arizona Cardinals now on the clock, followed by Cincinnati, Seattle, Tampa Bay, and then Denver. So you start to think about Shedeur Sanders, who has been talked about so much. Cincinnati, not going to take him. Seattle, I doubt it. But John Schneider, don't forget, is a protege of Ron Wolf and Ted Thompson. He is a guy that falls from that tree who at the time takes best available. Would he then be the best available at that point in time? Would they go and get him after taking Sam Darnold and making him their new quarterback? Remember, I don't think so, but it's possible. Tampa Bay, not going to happen. Denver, not going to happen. That leaves the Pittsburgh Steelers. Grant, let me ask you this. If they take Shedeur Sanders, does that end Aaron Rodgers' career?
That's a good topic.
Because Sanders isn't going there to sit behind Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I don't know. It's not like they'd be picking him first or second overall. Sanders, I mean, there's probably maybe part of him that thinks, man, I could go at the very end of the first round or maybe day 2. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think the Steelers would be well within their right to draft Shedeur and then maybe later sign Aaron Rodgers. Here's what I think will happen. They'll draft Shedeur, and then depending on how Shedeur looks after the summer, they might reconvene and talk to Rodgers again, which might be better for all parties involved, seeing Rodgers doesn't seem to know what he wants to do right now anyways. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if they draft Shedeur and he looks great, the Steelers can say, well, no, thank you. We've moved on. Or if he doesn't look ready, they could say, all right, here's what we'd like to do. And they could come back to the table in late July, maybe.
Right.
Does it end Rodgers? That's a kick-ass radio topic.
And I just tweeted it out. Does that end Aaron Rodgers' career? You know, because unless something happens in Minneapolis, which, by the way, did Paul Charchian text you today?
No, was he supposed to?
No, I wasn't sure if he would reach out to you or not. Paul reached out to me, and we were sitting here talking about, where certain players were going to go. And he is really hoping for the wide receiver out of Texas to end up either that or Ted McMillan. Those two guys he was looking at to end up in Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas, to end up in Minneapolis. And I'm like, dude, you've already got Justin Jefferson. That's not fair. You can't do that. And then him and I were going back and forth and kind of laughing. He was getting a gauge as to who people were thinking about possibly taking and who they want to see in the first round come to their team. But I said, no, you can't do that. So Matthew Golden and Igbuka both still sitting there right now. So the Packers could end up taking themselves a wide receiver in the first round of the NFL draft this year.
This is a very good draft, and I know we got to get to a break, but this is a very good draft to be in the mid-teens into the early 20s, because there's no way in hell the Colts could have dreamed that tight end would be available for them without drafting up.
Right.
I think the Falcons didn't expect that player from Georgia to be there. I think we're 5 or 6 players behind what we maybe expected, which is great news for teams like the Packers. I think they're going to have a choice of a couple guys they probably really like. I hope.
And then we got this. The Cardinals pick is now officially in as they go to the Cardinals war room, and everybody's kind of standing around now just waiting for this thing to be made official. But their pick is now in.
This feels O-line-ish to me around Kyler Murray. Could be wrong. That's kind of what that's what I would guess here.
It could be. I'm trying to see offensive line wise, when you look at this, who is still right there. You've still got, you got Will Johnson, who's the corner out of Michigan. He is still sitting there. The big defensive tackle, Derek Harmon, out of Oregon, is still sitting there. Everything that's really the top-rated guys is probably more so defense than it is offense. Now you're starting to get the uncomfortable look in the green room. Showing Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas, who is dressed, by the way, in a black and gold suit jacket. But starting to get those, should I have come here? Should I not have come here? When you look at the Arizona Cardinals and what they are right now kind of searching for. Arizona needs a couple of things, and number one of them is wide receiver. Now, I mentioned Marvin Harrison Jr. He's their number one, an elite receiver, but they need another guy, another effective weapon. Zay Jones has been an adequate complimentary target, but he was re-signed. They got a couple other guys, and they got a slot guy like Michael Wilson right now. He's also coming back, but they could really use the ultimate guy. Here it is.
16th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Walter Nolan, defensive tackle.
There you go.
Mississippi.
Big D tackle out of Mississippi, and Golden is still falling. Unbelievable. Let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We got a lot more. You've got Golden to Green Bay. You've got Ibuka to Green Bay. You still got some edge rushers, defensive tackle. You got some premier corners. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Things are starting to shape up for the Green Bay Packers. It was like this last year. And then all of a sudden, they went a completely different direction. They took Jordan Morgan. What do they do this year? Don't go anywhere. Stay right with us. The more of the Bill Michaels Show, our special draft coverage coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Right here at the Bill Michaels Show. Welcome back. What a night so far. Yeah. You have got Walter Nolan now comes off the board, the big defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. He ends up going to the Arizona Cardinals, and you've got the right now, anyway, you've got the Bengals who are on the clock. As a matter of fact, their pick is now in. They are looking for, we'll say, a corner. They need help. Their defense sucks. James Pierce Jr., the big edge rusher out of Tennessee, could be maybe the next one for them. You could take Derek Harmon out of Oregon, the big defensive tackle, because remember, they lost DJ Reader. And when they lost Reader, they lost every bit of penetration in the middle. Okay, they don't have anybody right now. You could take Will Johnson out of Michigan. You could take Jahdae Barron, the corner out of Texas. You could take James Pierce Jr., the edge rusher out of Tennessee. Derek Harmon, the big defensive tackle out of Oregon. Maxwell Hairston, who they're familiar with because he's not far away. He's only 80 miles down the road out of Kentucky. So they've got plenty of defensive options right now for this team. And it's going to be a defensive-heavy draft. Remember, Lou Anarumo, their defensive coordinator, got fired. And this was a guy that only a year prior was being talked about as one of the best defensive coordinators and minds in the game and possibly up for a head coaching job. And now he's been blown out, and their defense flat out sucked last year. You got to assume they're going to go defense in this draft. Don't go anywhere. Can you believe it? Say it with me. 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go, including the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers. What a beautiful scene just outside of Lambeau Field. Hell yeah. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a couple of minutes. We'll be back right after this. Stay tuned.
Hey, Gina, did you hear about the draft?
Wayne, there's no draft at Pella.
There's definitely a draft, right, Wildy? Yeah, everybody's talking about it.
Pella windows are constructed of the highest quality. No drafts.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no drafts. Got it. Was more than one draft?
No, but Pella should be everyone's number one pick because right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get no interest financing options or free glass upgrades when you order by April 30th. Our talented designers and installers can match your unique home through dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more, along with durable and distinguished details. All Pella products stand the test of time, which is why we confidently offer the best wood warranty in the industry.
So where is the draft?
Coon. Get no interest financing options or free glass upgrades at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply in 4/30/2025.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Get insurance from a company who knows Wisconsin and cares about your community. You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer, but did you know they also offer competitive home and auto rates? Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more about products and discounts.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
ABC of Wisconsin is the largest apprenticeship program in the state, with more than 2,000 active apprentices in 12 different skilled trades. In the ABC apprenticeship program, you earn while you learn on the job, get paid to go to class, and graduate with a job in your craft, but without the huge college debt. Explore 12 different construction trades in one spot at buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
You are listening to live coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft. Special edition of the Bill Michaels Show tonight. Green Bay is all a glitter. The shiny gem right in the middle of it that is Lambeau Field is hosting over 125 to 150,000 people tonight all standing outside among that giant. You got a giant artificial monolith on one side, which is the stage, and then the massive mecca that is football right behind them in the backdrop. And I'm telling you, it's been a picture postcard. It's been an absolutely picture postcard. Cincinnati ended up going defense. That's exactly what they thought. We thought they would do, and that's exactly what they ended up doing. So we knew they had enough offense. You don't need any more. But defense, they definitely needed. Shamar Stewart, a guy that had been rumored numerous times. As a matter of fact, I think it was Field Yates that said he's going to end up in Green Bay. The edge rusher out of Texas A&M. Immense upside. Now, he's only got 4.5 sacks in 4 seasons. But big-time physical skills, fast, got a good first move, good feet, but long arms and strong and can bull rush. And he now goes to Cincinnati. Look at that. The Cincinnati War Room. Everybody's up congratulating each other. And over off to the left-hand side is Mike Brown, the curmudgeon of patriarchs, that is sitting there. And most likely he's now already working on a contract to see what it's going to cost him. So he knows how many bottle caps and spare cans of aluminum he's going to have to pick up so he can go out and afford to bring him into the organization. There you go.
You jerk. How many pop cans are going to run down there? I mean, you're not wrong.
No.
But
yeah, but it was funny. You saw the entire war room go to one side, all congratulating one another, high five and shaking hands. There is Katie Brown at one end. She's kind of alone. She's walking off. She claps her hands by herself. Nobody goes to her. And Mike Brown is sitting there, and he's literally scribbling on a yellow legal pad. And I can only see that he's probably writing down how much it's going to cost him, and to make sure that he didn't fax over their entire game plan to WLW, their flagship radio station down there in Cincinnati, by accident. So there you go.
He's paging through the CBA, see how much the 17th overall pick makes.
He was on Amazon trying to find a knockoff Bengals hat so he didn't have to pay for it.
So now I feel like we are in reasonable trade-up territory, where if the Packers had a name that they really, really wanted, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, we would have to be on the lookout here. We've reached a stretch in the draft where it wouldn't be just ridiculous for the Packers to try to jump.
Correct.
If they wanted to do that. I'm not predicting it, but we've reached the neighborhood now where it's maybe within reach.
Here, the Seahawks, that quick. They're making their pick. We are now in the third hour. Here we go.
With the 18th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Gray Zabel, guard, North Dakota State.
So they go offensive line with Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. A guard, a first-round pick as a guard. Gray Zabel, who is sitting at home in what I can only describe as something a little bit smaller than the motorhome that I was in. Is that bad? He's with his family. He's having a great time. He just got the call. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So Gray Zabel now comes off the board, and he is now the draft choice for the Seattle Seahawks. So
yeah, that's a Midwestern basement right there.
Yep,
I've hung out in many basements just like that one. It looks like they're Pierre, South Dakota. That's where he's from.
Yep.
Yeah, that tracks. Yep.
On the clock now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now this is where you could lose a linebacker. Lavonte David, he's been a foundational piece in Tampa Bay for more than a decade, but they might want to start thinking about something a little bit longer term than that. So they could find an off-ball linebacker. You would assume Baker Mayfield has really kind of revitalized his career down there. They're not going to go in terms of Shedeur Sanders or anything like that. So probably going to be a lot. They need an offensive lineman, but you kind of figure that they're going to go defensive heavy in this draft. So you start to look, Jahdae Brown, the corner out of Texas, could be one of their picks. Walter Nolan's off the board, correct? The defensive tackle out of Ole Miss.
Yes, he went to Atlanta.
Yeah, that
was one that I would have loved to see him in Green Bay.
Mike Green, the edge rusher from Marshall, is still there.
Yep,
he's still there.
He's got some off the field stuff that makes me think that even if he falls to the Packers, they might not be interested.
Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan, correct me if I'm wrong. Is he off the board?
No corners off the board yet.
No corners. I didn't think so. So he is still there.
And no wide receivers other than why am I blanking? McMillan.
Ted McMillan, yeah. So
a lot of D-line.
Yeah, a lot of D linemen still sitting there. So you got Jahdae Brown, who is still sitting there. Matthew Golden is still sitting there, but I don't think they're going to go in the terms of Matthew Golden.
Remember Godwin's coming back from an injury.
Yeah.
Him and Evans are both on the older side. All right.
Maybe a wide receiver, but
Jason Light's always been really into the secondary. That's their secondary when they won the Super Bowl was unbelievable. So if they wanted to get the top corner in the draft, they could go that way,
now,
or
if they
safety.
wanted to go, and they do need an offensive tackle. And that Josh Conley Jr., the big kid out of Oregon, 6'4", 315, that cat's got some hops to him too. That may be a guy that they go with if they decide to go offensive side. But he could be a guy that could come off the board. But I think they're going to stick with defense. Mike Green, the edge out of Marshall, like you had mentioned, but he's been falling. He was picked to go in a lot of mock drafts anywhere from 13 down to 17. So this might be that space in which they grab him. But you got to figure, you're at Tampa Bay. Think about this again. After this, you got the Denver Broncos. The Broncos, they've got a talented roster. They should invest continuously around Bo Nix, right? Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas, would add speed to this offense. He plays different than Cortland Sutton, and the pick would also help Denver's receiver room for the long term because Sutton actually is coming into the final year of his contract, if I'm not mistaken. So they need a receiver. But they also like the running back, Omarion Hampton. That's another guy that they really like.
They've been very loud the last couple of days about wanting to move up for Genty or Hampton as a second option if they weren't able to do it.
And they're probably not going to have to do that. Sitting there behind Tampa Bay. I bet you Tampa Bay might go corner, and that they made it clear that corner was going to be one of the top priorities. I bet you this is the first corner to come off the board. Jahdae Barron, the corner out of Texas. So? I think he might be that guy. He might be that guy. And remember, the Bucs last year, 26th in interceptions. That was it. And Barron's got ball skills. So
versatility too to go in and outside.
Yeah, exactly. So the Buccaneers, who are now on the board, and I think the Buccaneers, their pick is in. We're just waiting for the commissioner to come to the podium and make that announcement. But they keep going back and showing Aaron Rodgers just dropping. Every year we see this history of the uncomfortable Aaron Rodgers sitting there and falling in 2005 and falling and finally getting the call and looking angry about it. So, that sad memory. But Shedeur Sanders still falling. But I think his fall stops at 21. I think he goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because after that, where else is he going to go? He's not going to go to, let's go through this. If he doesn't go to Pittsburgh, Chargers aren't going to take him. Packers aren't going to take him. Vikings, no. Houston, no. Rams, no. Baltimore, no. Detroit, no. Possibly, if Cleveland, there's some talk about Cleveland jumping back up. Could Cleveland then make a trade? Because Washington's not going to take him. Cleveland, Buffalo, no. Kansas City, no. And Philadelphia, no. So if he doesn't go to Pittsburgh, he's out of the first round. They have to, for them to invite him here, they have to know something. They have to know something. And Shedeur Sanders is probably going to end up being a Pittsburgh Steeler. And also, think about this for a minute. Not only do you think that if he goes to Pittsburgh, that he goes, because there's a lot of talk about, well, if you don't succeed right away, then, the next head coach of that team could be Deion Sanders, who has coached him his whole life. Now let's go to the podium we'll continue with this, but the podium is the commissioner brings in the Buccaneers.
With the 19th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Emeka Egbuka.
Oh my goodness. Emeka Egbuka comes off the board. I was just holding out all kinds of hope that he was going to end up in Green Bay. Oh, Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. He now ends up in Tampa Bay, and they've got 2 good wide receivers. But like you said, Grant, they needed to go and add something to that room and young it up a little bit, and Egbuka will do that. 6 foot, little over 200, runs a 4.98, but he's got incredible closing speed. He just runs great routes. He can run a dig route. He can run an in. He can run an up and go. I mean, just so many things he does well. But the big thing about him, he can go over the middle, and he can also take a hit. And I love the fact that he blocks downfield. I think they're going to like this guy. And when he gets the ball, he's got decent breakaway speed too, because his speed becomes a little bit deceiving. And he was my pick to be like the next Jordy Nelson with his measurables. So, but now we got Golden. Golden's the guy on the board. Will Golden be in green and gold? Oh, I'm already doing some good tags here.
Okay, Jim Nance.
Yeah, I know. There. Will Golden be in green and gold? I like that.
Will he find some green to go with the gold?
Oh, he will too with that suit. He's going to need it to pay that thing off.
Yeah, that too.
That too. Yeah. So now
it's a rental.
Here we go. We got the Denver Broncos on the clock, and the Broncos, as I mentioned, running back, wide receiver, corner. They could use a tight end. And then after that, maybe go to the defensive line side of things. But the Broncos put themselves in a position where they can focus on just strengthening the supporting cast around Bo Nix. And here's the scary thing. They're probably going to go offense. But do they take Matthew Golden, which would then take basically the wide receivers off the board in the first round and leave the Packers with the defender's choice? Or do they take the running back and we see the wide receivers, the other wide receiver Golden, fall to the Green Bay Packers? And if he does Goody then take him?
I feel like the Chargers are a threat to take a wide receiver at 22. Because last year with year one in Harbaugh, it's like, we're going to fix our O-line.
Right.
We're going to beef up our running game. And they took McConkey, but it feels like they need a true downfield guy. So if Denver goes running back, which I think they will, Pittsburgh, let's say they go Shedeur, you just got to get past the Chargers. And even if they go wide receiver, you have your choice of corner if that's what you want. And we talked about that a lot on the show today. I feel like we're prepared if that happens.
And you could be right in the sense that when you look at the Chargers in my notes, they were held to 17 points or less 7 times last season. Remember, and that was also including the playoffs. They picked up the running back Najee Harris and Mike Williams. Not enough. You kind of think that maybe they go in the terms of a wide receiver or a tight end. Do they go in that direction? But the tight ends have come off the board. So you got to think that Golden might be the guy. Now, here's the question. Here's your big question. If the Packers want Golden, do the Packers trade with Pittsburgh, who know they're taking a quarterback? Because Pittsburgh can still get Shedeur Sanders. They can be safe. Flip-flop with Green Bay. Green Bay gets the wide receiver they're coveting. Pittsburgh still gets Shedeur Sanders and additional draft picks. Could we see a Goody aggressive move? I doubt it. But it's nice to think about, isn't it?
I just feel like now, unless the Packers would really want like Matthew Golden, for example, because if they're lukewarm on Matthew Golden, they can just sit and let the Chargers, like they have no reason to want to get in front of Pittsburgh or Denver or the Chargers, unless there's a receiver that they want and they're worried about the Chargers. Other than that, like I think the board is just about set and they have a good idea of who's going to be available for them.
Yeah, I do too. But it sure makes for great speculation.
It really does. I'm really enjoying this. And I've been on the air now for, this is hour 9
hours
today.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it. Now, get back to be an hour, and I guess it might.
Right. Yeah.
Tomorrow morning it might, but I'm enthralled. This is excellent theater.
When Ebo comes in the morning and he finds you asleep at the wheel right there and you haven't moved, he'll come over to make sure, put some glass under your nose first to make sure you're breathing and then go from there.
I'm going to look like Tyler Warren's grandpa when he comes in the morning, just sitting in the corner with my mouth open.
Oh, my God. That was a terrible shot. And he just sat there, and the whole family, and they caught him in a conversation before he was told where he's going. And they kept showing it over and over. And it seemed like you're counting like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. And it was maybe 6 seconds, but Grandpa's just sitting there, mouth agape, like, hey, Does anybody have a good pair of high-waisted stretch pants I can borrow? I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. He must have went to the Golden Corral and ate or something like that. Oh, God.
Who hasn't been there? That's
relatable. Right? Well, should we take a break? Nah.
I feel like what we should do.
Let's do this. We'll take the pick. We'll wait until they make the announcement for the. And by the way, we just found out that it is now official that the Denver Broncos have indeed notified the commissioner their pick is in. They're writing on the card for the commissioner and making sure he can pronounce it properly. And then he will be coming to the podium momentarily. And then we'll take a break as the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock. The Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock, and you got to think you're waiting for the phone to ring if you're Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders at the black leather jacket party. You got to wait and see if that phone rings, because if it doesn't, chances are he's not going to be a first-round pick if he doesn't go to Pittsburgh. And then the question becomes, Shedeur Sanders, he's not going anywhere to sit behind anybody. He wants to be a starter. You're going with a first-round pick. Is Shedeur Sanders going to officially end the career of one Aaron Rodgers? Oh, the theater. The theater. You get goosebumps thinking about it. So we're waiting for the pick for the Denver Broncos. Matthew Golden sitting there in the green room, looking disappointed, staring at his phone, waiting for it to ring. The pick is in, and it doesn't look like he's the guy. At least not right now.
He's got a great poker face.
If he got called by the Denver Broncos, then he is one of the saddest Broncos to ever be called by Sean Payton. So we've got the commissioner who's going to be coming to the podium momentarily, and he is going to make the announcement as to who the Denver Broncos have indeed chosen.
And the NFL is proud to support the life-changing wishes that Make-A-Wish grants. Yes. One of those wishes will be coming true right now. Sam is a 17-year-old Broncos fan who has bravely battled cancer. There you go, Sam. Raise that fist up, baby. His wish is to announce the first-round draft pick for his favorite team. Please join me in cheering on Sam as his wish comes true. Take it away, Sam.
Yeah, let's go, Broncos. Thank you. All right. With the 20th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Jahdae Barron, DB, Texas.
Oh, there you go. Matthew Golden is still sitting on the clock and on the board. Yes, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're going to probably make the call to Shedeur Sanders and the career of Aaron Rodgers. The Chargers, I hope they don't take Golden, the wide receiver. So now, okay, here's the question. Now we start to really kind of get into the nuts and bolts of this thing. Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas, who has been rumored numerous times. They need a wide receiver out there in Denver. Still hearing the Broncos, though, want a running back. Omarion Hampton, could he be the guy? Could he be the guy? Jahdae Barron, the corner, now is gone and he's off the board. So does Hampton now go to the Denver Broncos? Shedeur Sanders goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You got the Broncos making their pick, and they picked up a corner. Now does Omarion Hampton or Matthew Golden go to the Chargers? Because don't you figure, although you can't ignore the possibility of a quarterback for the Steelers, but also in recent days, they could go another direction. They could go the running back, which has been a glaring hole for them as well.
I'm seeing tweets about Derek Harmon to Pittsburgh potentially, so maybe it's not Shedeur.
Wow.
That would suck, because I would love Derek Harmon as an option for the Packers.
Yeah. Man.
I really thought the Broncos would go running back. They must have had a big difference just based on what we were told, and maybe it was all crap, but they must have liked the running back from Boise State, Ashton Jeanty, way more than they liked Omarion Hampton.
Right.
They must have. Otherwise, they would have taken Hampton.
And then don't forget the edge rusher Mike Green out of Marshall. He could be a guy that's still sitting there too.
Ezeraku, a guy who
Ezeraku, yeah,
Boston College guy, Jeff Hafley guy.
Yep. As Rocco, the kid out of Boston College, you're right. Oof. But Matthew Golden is still sitting there. He could end up with the Chargers. Has Shedeur Sanders gotten a call? The black leather jacket crowd is crowded around him. Kind of waiting to see. Interesting stuff. Do we wait? The Steelers? The pick is in for the Pittsburgh Steelers. All shaking hands, smiles in their war room. God, this is good stuff. So do we, you know what? Let's keep it here. Who is the kids? By the way, they go to Jackson Dart's house. Who's the kid sitting next to Jackson Dart who's got his arms folded and his head back? Looks like he's sleeping.
I just saw that.
I would be punching that guy in the thigh with like a horse bite. Hey, you slug. If you're going to do that, get out of the picture.
The guy next to the older woman who looks like his grandma.
Yeah.
The grandma's wide awake. She's got no problem being awake.
I'd have punched him right in the leg, giving him a horse cramp or something, just to send him right to the ground. You know, like, hey, Jambalaya, get the hell out of here. If you're making us all look bad at this point. So, oh, my goodness. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Or, now think about this. Here is a thought. Say the Steelers don't take Shedeur Sanders. Here comes, is this the commissioner? No, it's not. Or is it? Yeah, here it is. Here's the commissioner. Let's go to the podium.
With the 21st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Derek Harmon.
No!
Defensive tackle.
You got it. There you go. The big defensive tackle. Well, part of me is like, wow, watching Shedeur Sanders fall. Now he's pretty much out of the first round. Unless Cleveland comes back up to get him, I don't think the Rams would take him, even though they know they only got a couple of years left with Matthew Stafford, who's on a year-by-year deal. Derek Harmon, we were kind of hoping Derek Harmon would still be there. But Sanders is not going to Pittsburgh. Wow. Christopher over on the live stream says Rodgers must have got the good stuff from RFK. I love it. He is going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Derek Harmon is. And does that mean, Grant, that there is still belief that Aaron Rodgers is going to be their guy? Because all they have is Kyle Rudolph.
Oh, Mason Rudolph? Yeah.
Mason Rudolph. I'm sorry. Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
Rodgers.
Or maybe they think they can come back up and get him.
Rodgers just dove on the defib machine, and he's been resuscitated. He's got life.
You got to be really confident when you start trying to get cute with your potential quarterback, right?
Right.
It's not like a corner. Well, we think we can get him later. If you miss out on a corner or an lineman later, whatever.
Yeah.
But your franchise quarterback potentially because you wanted to get cute and save an extra pick, like that's risky.
Think about this, though. They added Derek Harmon. Off of the same side of the defensive front, you've got TJ Watt. That is a beast up front now.
Keanu Benton from Wisconsin on that line too. Herbig, it's a nasty front.
You got a hell of a front right now. John says, our luck, Goody picks Sanders. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Remember when it was all last year, when all you heard about was Deion Sanders saying, there is no way Shedeur will not be the number one overall pick. And now you look at it and you're like, he may not even be in the day one pick. Yeah. And Mike Tomlin, look, if he really believes, and wasn't it was Art Rooney Jr. is the one that said that they felt it was imminent that Rodgers was coming.
I did see that one place or another. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting stuff. So that means to me that Aaron Rodgers might be coming back. Now you've got one pick, the Chargers, who have just over 5.5 or just under 5.5 minutes to go, who they would end up taking. Now, one thing they need to do, they have got to fix their offensive line. They got to fix the offensive line. So some of the names that could be there right now, when you talk about the Chargers on the clock, there's Will Johnson, the big corner out of Michigan, because they could fix their corner position. They could take an edge rusher, James Pierce Jr. They could take the linebackers, Yod Campbell. They could still get Hairston, the corner out of Kentucky. Omarion Hampton is still sitting there, and they also could use a running back. The funny thing is, if you look at ESPN's site today, when they listed the needs in order for Green Bay, it was cornerback, offensive tackle, then wide receiver, then edge rusher, then defensive tackle. And I would differ with that wholeheartedly. I'd still say corner. You can say corner. You could do that. You could also say edge rusher or defensive tackle. The offensive tackle position, I agree, is an area that you need to add depth, but I don't think you need to do it right now. So I would take that off the board. So when you start to analyze who is there. So do they go with Maxwell Hairston? Say they want to go corner because there's some corners there. Will Johnson out of Michigan, still there. Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky, still there. The edge rusher, James Pierce Jr., still there. Which direction do they go? Did Josh Conley Jr., is he gone now? Did he come up
not to my knowledge.
Big offensive
Nope.
tackle? I thought he was still there. So he is the big offensive tackle is still there. So, and the Texans, there was talk about the Texans possibly trading up to get an offensive lineman. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to need to at this point. Here's another thing to consider. And I had mentioned this, with Matthew Stafford doing this year-by-year thing, does Shedeur Sanders go to L.A.? Could he end up in the Rams? Because we know he's not going to go to Baltimore. He's not going to go to Detroit. But with Washington sitting there, could Washington, and there was a projected trade that could happen where the Cleveland Browns then trade up, because we know some teams are looking at the bottom of the draft or in the early second round, we'll say, because remember, you've got still the Giants want to jump up. They were thinking about taking Shedeur, and they may still get an opportunity to. But do the Cleveland Browns then jump back up and get Shedeur Sanders? Which is a possibility. That's also right there. But you got Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan, sitting there. And you still got Matthew Golden sitting there. Which direction would you go, Grant? Would you go offense with Matthew Golden, a guy that's got good wheels and then could replace for the time being Christian Watson? Or would you go cornerback when they picked up Nate Hobbs in the offseason and Keyshawn Nixon's their guy and they still have Valentine and company? It's not a murderer's row by any stretch, but would you go in that direction instead?
I think I'd go for Will Johnson and then get one of the second round wide receivers.
Yeah.
Boring and more potential to look silly, probably, especially if Golden goes right after and turns out to be a stud. But I think Johnson is the better player.
Will Johnson's got, or Matthew Golden has got burner speed. A 4.28 at the combine. I don't know if I can pass that up.
Not to be the producer, I think we might have to take a break. We can come back just as the Chargers are getting. Otherwise, we're going to have to take a break, and we might miss the Packers pick because we haven't taken one yet.
We haven't taken a break this hour?
No, we haven't taken one yet.
Holy crap. Okay.
If we go now, we'll come back, and the Packers will just be getting started.
Okay, let's do that. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We got a lot more. We just been rambling on. It's been great stuff. Thanks to everybody that's watching over on the live stream and paying attention to us tonight as we continue all of our discussion and analysis and what ifs this evening. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more. The 2025 NFL Draft. Don't go anywhere. We've got more coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Oh, we got breaking news. We've got breaking news. The pick is in, and it's Omarion Hampton, the running back out of, where's he out of?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Thank you very much. He is now going to the Chargers. The Packers are on the clock, and both at this point, when you talk about Matthew Golden and Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan, Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas. You've still got James Pierce Jr., the edge rusher out of Tennessee. You got Maxwell Hairston, who remember today there was a lot of rumors about Hairston being a guy that the Packers could end up taking. He is sitting there, and you still have Mike Green, who has fallen, the edge rusher out of Marshall. All sitting there for Brian Gutekunst. Who you got? I think they're going to go defense, and I bet you they take Hairston was a guy that was rumored today, and I said it was bogus. Watch it turn out to be absolutely true. But if you're going to go with one of the better guys coming out of the Big Ten, maybe they've seen Will Johnson play a little bit more. Maybe they take Will Johnson out of Michigan.
I'd go Will Johnson, then get a wide receiver in the next round, rather than take a lesser wide receiver now and circle back for a lesser corner later. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I think you can get better value going corner wide receiver if that's what they end up doing.
Right.
There's but like Jaden Higgins, player like him, Jalen Royals, a player like that later on. This is a lot of people would think this guy's the best corner in the draft, and he's available to you at 23.
It's crazy to think about, but do they dare go out of Tennessee, the nose tackle, Justin Harrell? I hope it's not somebody we never heard of.
Watch, they're going to trade back. It feels like there's a chance they do that too.
Right? Do you think they would trade with, say, Cleveland to take Shedeur?
I feel like that's more likely at the Vikings spot. If there's another team trying to jump back up and not wait until the very end of the round, the Vikings, they don't have any picks. So unless there's a player that they really want at 24, I could see that being a spot for a team to jump up at the quarterback.
5 minutes, just less, on the clock. The Green Bay Packers and that massive crowd out there in front of Lambeau Field. And man, I wonder what this reaction is going to be. Wow. You talk about suspense. There's all kinds of defenders sitting there. There are all kinds of defenders that you would want, but they didn't get a top-notch wide receiver in free agency. I got to think right now the Packers might be, considering the pick is not in, do you think the Green Bay Packers right now are fielding calls for a trade?
Yeah.
Probably not going to be Golden. I got to think the Packers are fielding calls if they can trade back because Goody covets those picks, and you could probably still get Golden or another good edge rusher if you go back 3, 4, 5 spaces. Draw this out. Although I would love to make a pick now because then we would still be able to have time to get Brian Gutekunst to hear his comments. But do you think the Packers are going to be trading this pick?
Clemens just traded that they're taking calls. I don't know where he got that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. They're not going to get that big defensive tackle lineman that we wanted, but they still have the best remaining wide receiver in the draft, and the guy that everybody thought was the fastest coming into this draft that would then replace Christian Watson is Matthew Golden. And I got to tell you, my gut, I always say, wait for the moment and then your gut will tell you. My gut's saying go with the offense. Something they haven't done, they need. And, you got Jordan Love coming back off an injury and a little bit of a down year. Why not give him because I keep thinking about Ron Wolf telling me I didn't do enough to add weapons for my guy. So Brian Gutekunst, if you're right now conjuring up your inner Ted Thompson, who conjures up his inner Ron Wolf, maybe you're fielding calls to go back a little bit, but I got to think, man, don't regret not taking a wide receiver at this point.
Seeing tweets about the Eagles moving up with the Packers.
Yeah. Can you imagine that? The Eagles being the team that end up moving up. I
probably wouldn't.
I don't know if I'd do that with the Eagles. Howie Roseman's pretty, and put it this way, whoever Howie Roseman takes, I'm going to be mad they took him. Because Roseman has been on point, man. On point. On point when it comes to being a general manager. And the clock is ticking and they still don't have the pick in. They still don't have the pick in yet. This is, man. They're going to go right down to the wire and try to get themselves a trade. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Still counting. We're down under a minute and a half. What do they end up doing? He's working the phones. Working the phones. Titletown is stuffed just outside of Lambeau Field. The aerial shots are phenomenal. Phenomenal. But they're still watching the clock tick and tick. And there we go. They didn't trade it away. The Green Bay Packers are about to make a pick. And as soon as we take it, we're going to go to break because we got to. We got to come back and then take us. We still got 2 more breaks we got to take before the top of the hour. Correct me if I'm wrong, Grant?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the pick is in. As soon as the commissioner makes the announcement, we'll take a break and we're going to come back and start to break this down. So don't go anywhere. But the Green Bay Packers and Brian Gutekunst did not trade away their pick. They did not move back. They couldn't find enough value to move back in the draft. And yeah, they worked the phones to the. I'm just getting a text here from a friend that's, we'll say there, and said they worked the phones, just couldn't find enough. Kind of what I was thinking. So now we'll wait and see as the commissioner is getting ready to take the stage and let us all know in Titletown who the Green Bay Packers first round draft choice for the 2025 NFL draft is, coming up in just a moment. And so now, is it defense or offense?
I'll guess defense.
Guessing defense?
I think Golden at 23 is too rich for their blood, but I could be wrong.
Is this going to be, 15 years in a row they've taken an offensive player? Is this the commissioner?
Something like that. Wow.
Here in green.
Nope, here we go. Oh, Mark Murphy's going to do it.
Okay, Green Bay, it's your time. To make this historic pick, please give it up for first team All-Pro, Pro Bowler, two-time Super Bowl champion, and Packers president and CEO, Mark Murphy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Roger. How about this atmosphere? Isn't it unbelievable? Roger, thank you in the NFL for bringing the draft here to Green Bay for the best draft in the history of the NFL. Right here. On behalf of the Packers, Packer fans here in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and everywhere, because our fans are everywhere, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the NFL Draft at Lambeau Field. It is our honor and privilege to host this wonderful event in our community, particularly since we are the only community-owned team in the NFL. Just out of curiosity, how many of you are owners? Yes. We also have the best owners in the NFL. And we also want to celebrate the special connection we have with our fans that dates back to the early days of professional football. With the 23rd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the 13-time world champion Green Bay Packers, for the first time since 2002, draft a wide receiver, Matthew Golden.
Yes!
Receiver,
Yes! Yes! They did it. And on that note, Matthew Golden, the fastest man in this draft, taking over for Christian Watson, is now a Green Bay Packer. Holy crap. Where's the Tylenol? Let's go to break.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It is our 2025 NFL Draft coverage. Donovan Jackson, the guard out of Ohio State, not a flashy pick, but the Vikings have taken the guard to protect J.J. McCarthy. So J.J. McCarthy gets a guard. The Packers are now green and golden. Matthew Golden, the fastest man in the NFL Draft this season, is now headed to Green Bay. He's actually there. What am I saying? Headed to? He's there. And they're probably going to whisk him over into the media auditorium. You're going to hear Brian Gutekunst speak. And then on top of that, you're going to have, I think we have a trade brewing right now. We have a trade?
Giants coming up.
The Giants are now coming up. We have a trade. It looks like the Giants are going to take over and make a trade with the Houston Texans. So the Giants... Are the Giants going for Shador? They already got Abdul Carter, the edge rusher. Are the Giants jumping back up and trying to get ahead of the Commanders? And because there was a lot of rumors about whether or not you would see the Cleveland Browns jump back up. Are the Giants jumping back up and grabbing their quarterback now? Intrigue. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We got to go right back to break. We're woefully late. I've been babbling on. So we'll take a break. Shador might be the guy that they're jumping back up to take, unless they like Dart, which they could possibly go in that direction. I think. No, let's do this. We'll take a quick break. We'll come right back. Don't go anywhere. Just give me 3 minutes. We'll come right back. Get right back into this. Okay, stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. It's our live coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft. Golden is the guy. Green and Golden in Green Bay. He ran a 4.29, the fastest man when it comes to the offensive side of the football at the combine. And he's a pretty good baller. He's a little bit faster than a guy like, say, It's not faster than Justin Jefferson, I don't think. I think he's faster than like a guy like Tyreek Hill, faster than CeeDee Lamb. Looks like Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart has been chosen by the New York Giants. It looks like. At least he looks happy now. The pick is in because the Giants made the trade. They jumped up, and they get – think about this. How much did the Giants win today? The Giants on the day one, they got Abdul Carter, the edge rusher, out of Penn State, and now they're getting Jackson Dart, which might be their future when it comes to the quarterback position. On the clock is the Rams, and after that it's Baltimore, Detroit, Washington, Buffalo, Kansas City, and then Philadelphia right now. But Matthew Gold, here we go.
The Houston Texans have traded the 25th pick to the New York Giants. With the 25th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Jackson Dart, quarterback, Mississippi.
There you go. Jackson Dart is now a New York Giant, and I cannot imagine, unless Cleveland now jumps back up into the first round, that they are going to – Shedeur Sanders is going to be chosen in the first round. So Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss now goes to the New York Giants. Okay, reaction. Matthew Golden, now a wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. He took the walk all the way down on the runway, stands up in the middle of that crowd, and holds up his phone, starts doing a selfie video right there. And you could see his mouth as people were chanting, "Go Pack, go," yelling, "Go Pack, go." What a cool moment. Now you just hope it pans out. How about this, though? The Giants, it was rumored the Giants were one of the teams that Shedeur Sanders personally interviewed, that they didn't like him and thought he was arrogant and cocky, which there's a difference between arrogant and cocky and confident. They thought he was very disconnected and was just like almost too good to be there. And they jumped up and take Jackson Dart over Shedeur Sanders. There is so much stuff going on, so much drama, and we got another hour yet to go. Don't go anywhere. More of the 2025 NFL Draft coming up in a minute and a half. Stay right where you're at.
Hey, Gina, did you hear about the draft?
Wayne, there's no draft at Pella.
There's definitely a draft. Right, Wilby? Yeah, everybody's talking about it.
Pella windows are constructed of the highest quality. No drafts.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no drafts. Got it. There's more than one draft?
No, but Pella should be everyone's number one pick because right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get no interest financing options or free glass upgrades when you order by April 30th. Our talented designers and installers can match your unique home through dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more, along with durable and distinguished details. All Pella products stand the test of time, which is why we confidently offer the best wood warranty in the industry.
So where is the draft?
Coon. Get no interest financing options or free glass upgrades at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply and 4/30/2025.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Farmers deal with a lot, including long days, stress, and fatigue. This is your reminder to take breaks, stretch, have a snack, and hydrate your body. Avoid farm accidents by keeping yourself healthy. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn how Rural Mutual supports Wisconsin farmers and prioritize safety on the farm.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
For nearly 40 years, ABC Wisconsin Apprenticeship has been helping men and women transform themselves into highly skilled trade professionals. These skills are in demand and provide strong wages and benefits for a bright future. If you're a hands-on person who likes the feeling when you get projects done, apprenticeship could be for you. Go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Matthew, that was a warm welcome from your new fan base. What is it like to stand here in front of all these Packers fans?
Man, it's a blessing. I put in so much work to get here.
and I got my family there, man. It means the most to me, man. I can't thank God enough.
At Texas, you stepped up big when the lights were brightest. How will you do that here in Green Bay?
That's what you should expect from me, man. You know, I'm a reliable target, and, you know, I get open anywhere on the field, man. Whatever the team need me to do, that's what I'm willing to do. But I'm bringing that dog mentality, know that.
All right, welcome home.
Thank you.
Matthew Golden from Texas, the newest Green Bay Packer. Let's go to the podium for Atlanta, who made a trade.
26th pick to the Atlanta Falcons. With the 26th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select James Pierce Jr., defensive end, Tennessee.
Wow, and he was one of the big guys still that was on the board as far as one of the best available players. So Atlanta jumps up again in the draft after getting a pick earlier tonight in which they already have made a choice. Atlanta ended up getting Jalen Walker, the edge rusher out of Georgia. They go for another edge rusher, James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. Think about that. They went for two, not one, but two edge rushers to bolster that defensive front. That puts the Baltimore Ravens on the clock. The Falcons give up this year's 26th overall pick, the third round pick this year, and the Rams get the Rams get the second round pick in 2025, the seventh round pick, and what did it say? A first round pick as well?
Next year's first
round pick.
That's insane.
Wow.
Teams are throwing around future firsts, and they're not even trading up for quarterbacks. I can't abide.
And Grant,
I can't support that.
You and I were talking about it. That is what, the third pick or the third trade in the first round?
Yep.
Because you said today probably about two.
My guess was two.
Yeah, I said, probably around there. It was probably a pretty good guess, 2, 3 at the most. We still have time for one more, and there's a lot of talk about whether or not Cleveland is going to try to jump up and get Shedeur Sanders. But I can't imagine at this point. Detroit? No. Washington? No. Buffalo? No. Kansas City? No. That's not going to happen. So where do they go next? Boy, what an interesting day. Big time crazy day. As to whether or not there's another move to be made in this year's draft. So Cleveland holds what? Is it the 1 or the 2, the second round pick? Or is it, I can't remember what the oh God, I can't remember what the second round looks like. Is it the same? I know it's the same, landing spots for all teams, but there's been some teams that done some jockeying because of compensatory picks and because some teams that already had.
Cleveland's 33. Yep. So it'll go Cleveland, New York, and
so
Tennessee.
Cleveland's not going to jump up. Cleveland most likely would take Shedeur with the first pick in the second round. They wouldn't need to give up any more draft capital.
Well, why would they need to jump up? Because the only teams left are quarterback by Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff, Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts.
Wow. Who else? Let's see here. Because Pittsburgh doesn't have a second round pick to throw away. So Pittsburgh can't jump up. So Cleveland, who has, by the way, Cleveland has the 32nd or the 33rd and the 36th pick coming up in the beginning of the second round. Don't forget the Bears have the 39th and the 41st pick in this round as well. And the Packers sitting at number 54. Interesting stuff. And the Baltimore Ravens, by the way, their pick has now been given to the commissioner, and we should hear from the commissioner coming up here momentarily. But boy, how about that? So they need a defensive tackle. You've still got Will Johnson, the corner, by the way. You still got Mike Green, the edge rusher, still sitting there. You still got Hairston, the corner from Kentucky, sitting there. You've got Ziad Campbell, the linebacker out out of God, where is he from? Alabama, I think. Yeah, he's from Alabama. Still on my list is Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle out of Ohio State. You don't need an offensive tackle with the Ravens, but you could use an offensive guard. Maybe I don't think you're going to pick Simmons, though, and start moving guys around, but you could. The only edge rusher that would be worthy at this point would be Mike Green. And he's the kid out of Marshall. And cornerback, that's a position of need right now for the Ravens, and that's Will Johnson. Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan. And then you've got coming up the edge rushing position for the Detroit Lions, which they could bolster that a little bit. That could be Mike Green. They also are looking for a defensive tackle. They could use a guard. Interesting stuff right now as to how this thing is going to continue to unfold. So I guess the question is, as we continue to sit here and talk about it, what is the reaction? What is the reaction from Packers fans? Are you happy, excited, the first time since 2002 that we can finally dump that narrative? Thank God. Get rid of that. But are you glad that the Packers took a wide receiver? And I sat here and I really, like last year I was going Cooper DeJean. I was all in. This year I told you, Grant, my gut was saying, as much as I thought defensive front, you can do that. But remember what we talked about with John Cooper from Our Lads. By the way, Ross Tucker is going to join us on Monday. I got a text from Ross Tucker. Ross Tucker from the Ross Tucker podcast also does Westwood One, CBS Sports Radio, all that kind of stuff. Ross Tucker is going to join us on Monday in the 1 o'clock hour. So we're going to talk with Ross Tucker and break this down with him. We're going to try to get John Cooper from Our Lads on Monday as well. But think about this. So if we finally end the narrative of the receiver, but I kept thinking to myself, my gut will tell me what I want. And I was thinking fastest guy on the offensive side of the football in this draft, by far, Golden. And remember, they kept talking about the need when Christian Watson was on the field about he does dictate what side of the field the defense is going to lean towards. And I keep going back to, and I've said it 1,000 times, back to our conversations at Super Bowl, back to Brian Billick, back to some of the guys that we brought on, some of the current players that are defenders that said, who are the Green Bay Packers when they don't have a guy that says, that keeps you up at night, that you can say, we've got to account for this guy. You know, so I kept thinking, go back to that. This is where you start to outthink yourself. Here we go.
Safety, and they got both.
Nope, we got, is that the commissioner coming to the podium?
Sounded like Mel Kiper just barking.
Yeah, no, we're going back to the podium with the commissioner. Somebody was yelling something in the background. I don't know who that was. Maybe it was.
With the 27th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Malachi Starks, defensive back, Georgia.
Wow, they went in that direction. He wasn't even still listed as one of the best available corners. So not a bad pick.
Well, safety. I mean, I think he's primarily safety.
That's what I was going to say. I think they call him a corner. I agree. But you know what? He's a slot coverage guy, and he's a hitter. And they like 20. That.
He's 23 on the consensus big board. And they moved, what's his nuts, kind of down into the box. Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
So they have a spot on the back end safety, free safety, or whatever. It's very Ravensy adding to the secondary.
Look, Nicholas says, I'm not mad at the pick, but at the end of the day, he's got to prove he's an impact player. The rest of the draft needs create a lockdown defense, just in my opinion. But here's the thing, though. When we had kind of started to talk about the depth of this draft at certain positions, defensive linemen, when we went to Our Lads, they had, 38 or 39 defensive linemen rated that could be NFL players. It's a deep draft for the defense. And this also tells you what we've talked about regarding Lucas Van Ness, when they said, look, we have all the faith that he's going to bounce in and he's going to be really good. And he's going to take that next step. So this is, I like the fact that they, first of all, they're not jumping into the pass rusher thing, but don't be surprised if they take a defensive lineman or two and then go corner as well with some of these remaining picks and an offensive lineman somewhere along the way. So they got you've already got your depth when it comes to your receiver room. You've already got your depth when you think about it. Jordan Love now, and I hate to say I was channeling my inner Ted Thompson and Ron Wolf here, but I kept thinking you got Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden. Watson's going to be down until probably the end. Think about this, though. If Watson comes back, and let's just say the hamstring issues are done. It was just the knee. He comes back fully healthy. The leg issues are nil, okay? Think about it. You've got speed in Watson, speed in Golden, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, and McCole Hardman. You still got Malik Heath. You still got, Bo Melton. Your wide receiving room is now done. You're done at wide receiver. You got your guys. You got a pretty deep room. If you get Christian Watson back, say at November, and he comes back and he's just ready to go, fresh legs, the whole thing. I think with moving Elton Jenkins to center, Aaron Banks at guard, you got a stronger, bigger offensive line. Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, Ben Sims to a certain extent. You got 3 good tight ends. You got Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd. Marshawn Lloyd was considered the best running back in last year's draft. Just unfortunate that he wasn't able to play because he just had come back and then he had gallbladder or appendicitis or something like that. He ended up going down. Emmanuel Wilson, I thought, played pretty well. Even Brooks to a certain extent. And if Jordan Love is on point, worked on the fundamentals, his legs are good, he gets a few more off script throws, picks up a few more rushing yards, makes himself a little bit of a weapon, under center a little bit more. The offense now looks different. Now you just go defense. You got to add one more offensive lineman, I think. And you're probably going to do that with maybe some of these undrafted guys. But now you're going to add to Lucas Van Ness and Rashawn Gary. You're going to add to your secondary as much as you possibly can. And I think, I don't want to say you're set, but you're pretty good. Quay Walker's going to be coming back healthy. Edrin Cooper, hopefully he takes that next jump. Depends on what they're going to end up getting for Jair. Imagine if they don't trade Jair. And Jair, which it sounds like, I'm 99% feeling they're going to trade Jair. But let's just say they don't trade Jair. Can you imagine with Hobbs, Jair, Keyshawn Nixon, Javon Bullard, Evan Williams, Xavier McKinney, Carrington Valentine, Zane Anderson, all back there? You're looking at a different type of team. A different type of team. Now you got the Detroit Lions on the clock. What a good, but I agree with everybody that's over there talking about Jordan Love. Jordan Love got to prove it this year. He's had a really good half a season. He had a learning curve in the first half of his first season under center. Last year, rough start. Goes down with the injury. Didn't look great. Too many downfield passes that he tried to force into windows that just weren't there. A little bit too long to make some decisions. Didn't look like he trusted himself. And you think to yourself, okay, you go away, you reset, you get your fundamentals about you, a few more rushing yards, change up some of the play calling to put him under center at least 50% of the time or more. Hide the football a little bit, a little more play action. I think it changes things. Does it make them better than the Lions? That's hard. I think the Lions are still the top team. I do find it funny, though. You look at the Lions war room, if you want to call it that, and there's like this giant screen in the middle that Dan Campbell is sitting in front of. And I wonder if he's got all the faces of all the assistant coaches that are gone and the coordinators that are gone. Like, I miss you guys. 877-867-1670. If you want a reaction, by all means do so. We should hear from Mike Clemens. Here we go.
28th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle, Ohio State.
Wow. They're going beef up front. They're going to add him up there with Aiden Hutchinson. They're going to run, their middle linebacker. Oh, the Italian. God love the Italian. Anzalone. They're going to run Anzalone behind him. That's some beef up front. So you got Hutchinson. You've got DJ Reader, big beef in the middle as a nose tackle. And now you pick up the big kid out of Ohio State to add beef and stature. He can play outside. He can play inside. You got Anzalone at your linebacker, Jack Campbell at your middle. You look at Brian Branch in the secondary. Don't forget they picked up DJ Reed at the corner from New York. They got him, in free agency. They still have Kirby Joseph. Oh, that's a defense, baby. That's a defense. You're going to have a lot of offense. No wonder the Packers ended up going offense. Got to have some offense if you're going to score against Detroit and try to finally get over Detroit in some way, shape, or form. Boy, they got some beef over there. Got some beef. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. We are continuing our coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft. We're hoping to hear from Brian Gutekunst, and we're hoping to hear from the Packers' first-round draft choice, Matthew Golden, still tonight. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. We got more coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to Washington Commanders. Their pick is in. We're glad you're with us. Thanks so much for hanging out, because tonight has been fantastic for the first time since 2002. And I don't know how many times I'll mention this, but that being said, first time since 2002, and Javon Walker, the Green Bay Packers have indeed chosen a wide receiver in the first round. They go with Matthew Golden. And I just posted it over on the fan page on Instagram and on Facebook. But welcome, Packers fans, is Matthew Golden. I told you he was standing there in the middle of that like runway that you walk out on, and he took a selfie right there with a bunch of Packers fans in the background. I just posted that. I just found it over on the NFL site, and I just posted it. So really exciting stuff, I guess, if you're a Green Bay Packers fan. So interesting. The bowl for Lambeau Field still has fans scattered in it, where fans get a chance to sit inside the hallowed grounds of Lambeau Field and watch the NFL draft. And we hope to hear from Mike Clemens. Here's the commissioner.
25 NFL drafts. The Washington Commanders select Josh Connerly Jr., tackle, Oregon.
Big offensive tackle from Oregon. Josh Connerly Jr. is now going to be protecting Jaden Daniels, who had an incredible rookie season and really took off, led the Commanders for the first time in a long time back to the postseason. So he is now going to be protecting that quarterback in the NFL coming up this upcoming season. So really good stuff. I'll tell you this, a lot of reaction. So here's my question, Packers fans, and I want to know from the naysayers, because what's really funny, and I see this, and this is what really, to be honest with you, just pisses me off. Suddenly you get a lot of people. I'm sitting here talking about Golden. Nobody's saying anything. Nobody. They take Golden, everything sucks. He sucks. He's not fast. He's not a breakaway guy. He's not this. He's not that. He better work out. Oh, this is Goody screwed up again. But nobody says who they want. Nobody says who they wouldn't.
You fanboy. He's unproven. He hasn't even proven anything yet.
Oh, but exactly. And the fact that he sucks already, and people are saying that, are just, you're not fans. If that's your reaction, you're not fans. Because, again, they just added depth to the room, and they just added depth to that wide receiver group. I don't know if Romeo Doubs is one hit away from a concussion. Christian Watson isn't coming back anytime soon. Dontavian Wicks can get a case of the drops. Jaden Reed, better out of the slot than he is out of the wide. And they needed a guy, and they went out and got him.
Well, and we've talked for weeks and months now, like wide receiver became a need, especially when Watson got hurt. But I think both of us still have a good amount of belief that Reed and Wicks specifically are going to continue to develop. It's not like we've given up on those guys.
Exactly.
I just like their outlook as a team a lot more with another body in the room, and now they have that guy.
Right. I do too. I like the fact. Now think about it. And I said this before. When you look at this team and you think to yourself, what do they have? And now you've got a guy in Tucker Kraft who's an emerging tight end. You've got, I know Romeo Doubs had a concussion, but you got Romeo Doubs, who was kind of Jordan Love's go-to guy. Then you add Jaden Reed into the mix. Now you got Matthew Golden. You still have Dontavian Wicks. If Dontavian Wicks kind of gets over the drop side of things, he's a guy that if you watched him in practice, and many people said this, he's a guy that runs incredibly good routes, but he's almost uncoverable at times because he's got such good cuts and jukes in him. So Dontavian Wicks, McCole Hardman is there. He's more of a returner, but he's still there. He adds depth to that room. And you still have Malik Heath, and you still have Bo Melton, all contributors. Then you say Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave, Josh Jacobs out of the backfield, and you haven't even scratched the surface. You don't even know what you have in Marshawn Lloyd just yet. Emmanuel Wilson was a solid backup running back to the backup running back. And then let's say Jordan Love has gone away. He's 100% healthy. He's worked on his body, worked on his fundamentals, his mechanics, and suddenly the 20-yard darts start falling. Changes the dynamic of the offense. Changes it big time. You got to feel good going into the season. And then, oh, by the way, throw this in for good measure. Let's just say coming back first week, second week of November, maybe you get Christian Watson back.
Now you can be hopeful for that, and you don't have to rely on it because they got a guy with some speed,
right?
Hopefully, who can pitch in and help. The part of, I was reading the Our Lads guide on our last break of last hour.
Do it.
I love this part. This is because we talk about how they need a bucket getter, right? Like they need someone on first down. Says his reliable hands will make him an absolute go-to guy on third and manageable. 82 of his 116 career catches have resulted in a first down or a touchdown.
Huge.
I like that.
Huge.
I like that a lot. Wes Hodkiewicz just tweeted, this is Matthew Golden on Jordan Love. Quote, I'm letting him know as soon as I see him, you got a reliable target. You can trust me.
Yeah.
Those are just words.
Right.
I like that mindset.
Right. I agree. And by the way, I saw Golden make one-handed catches. He made a catch with his other arm being held, which turned out to be a pass interference call that they ended up negating because he made the catch. A one-handed underarm catch that he had. He had a couple of good catches against Ohio State this year in the college football playoffs. I like him. I really do. I know Ohio State did a number on him. They put him behind early. I get all of that, but I really was liking this pick. And the more I started to read about it, and the more I looked at the speed, and I thought, okay, he's Egbuka, they consider to be the most polished. McMillan is the tallest. He's the biggest target out there. But then each guy brought something different to the table. So I was excited about that. So there you go. Kenny Mack says, I'm happy Matthew Golden's a Packer. Look, if Kenny Mack, if he gives you the stamp of approval, I'll take that. Kenny Mack over there on our live stream. All of our live streamers tonight. We have a huge crowd in the live stream, by the way. Holy crap. Got a lot of people over there tonight.
People are jacked up. Like, I don't know how you could have a more exciting pick and a more exciting announcement. Mark Murphy, that's 10 out of 10.
That was
awesome.
fantastic, too.
That was great.
That was a great announcement by Mark Murphy. Everything. It was fantastic.
God, he can work a crowd. I mean, you were at the tailgate tour like I was for one of the stops. That man can work a room or a crowd of however many tens of thousands of people are out there.
Greater impact as a wish maker for Make-A-Wish. For the second time tonight, we have the opportunity to grant a wish for a deserving young man to announce the first pick for his favorite team. Tommy. Tommy is a 16-year-old living with a neuromuscular disorder. He's a huge Buffalo Bills fan, and he's here with me to make the announcement for his beloved Bills. Go ahead, Tommy.
Let's go, Buffalo! With the 30th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Maxwell Harrison. Let's go!
They take the corner. There you go. They take the corner out of Kentucky. The corner is now off to Buffalo. And that was a pretty cool pick, too, to have that kid in the wheelchair roll up and be able to give that pick and grant one of those wishes. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Josh is still baffled the Packers drafted a wide receiver in the first round. I had him as my number one wide receiver overall, and it came. So I think the reaction has been pretty positive thus far. Let's do this. We'll step aside. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We're hoping at some point here we should be able to maybe get Mike Clemens. I know he's downstairs trying to talk to Brian Gutekunst. Maybe we end up hearing from Matthew Golden. It's big time. Big time. Good stuff. At least a lot of excitement at Lambeau Field. A video postcard being put out tonight, not just for Green Bay, but for the state of Wisconsin and Packer Nation everywhere. Hell yeah. Rock on. More coming up.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, you mentioned the Combine 4.29. That opened a lot of eyes. 58 catches, 9 touchdowns in his one season at Texas.
The 16th ranked player on my big board. Packers sitting at pick number 23. We're talking about this year. 9 games, he averaged 20-plus yards per catch. Here he is with the Houston Cougars. Over a 2-year period, he had 76 catches, averaged 13 yards a catch, and 13 touchdowns at Texas this year. He was outstanding, and he came up big at critical moments in key games. SEC championship game against Georgia, really impressive with 8 catches, 162 yards. Quarterfinal playoff game against Arizona State, 7 catches, 149 yards, and another touchdown. He had 2 to 3 concentration drops. That was it. He's a guy who gets open. He can handle tight coverage. He catches the ball in traffic. He's tough across the middle. He's quick out of his break. He sells the route. And I was impressed with the consistency, game in and game out, to know that he was understated. He was underappreciated all year for what he did for an offense that needed him. And every time they needed a big catch, Matthew Golden got open and made, let's say, 9 games to average over 20 yards a catch. It was pretty impressive.
There you go. That is a dissertation and a breakdown. Granted, it's Mel Kiper. But a lot of praise for Matthew Gold, the newest wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. And for all of you that are still with us and still hanging, maybe celebrating tonight, if you're out there having a victory cigar saying, hey, they got the wide receiver, they got the guy that I was hoping for, as the video picture postcard from Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin continues on throughout the night. What an evening so far in round 1 of the NFL draft. And I'm Bill Michaels. Thanks for hanging with us so late tonight. Grant Bill's producing the program. And ended up getting Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas, 4.29. The guy can move. He's a tough catcher across the middle. I like the fact that he can sell the routes. Here's the commissioner coming to the podium for the Philadelphia Eagles.
The Kansas City Chiefs have traded the 31st pick to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow.
With the 31st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jihad Campbell, linebacker, Alabama.
There you go, the linebacker out of Alabama. Now, they must have thought, not Kansas City, but there had to be a team they thought might be trying to trade up and get him, and maybe they really coveted him. They had another defensive piece to that already stout defense. So the Eagles and Howie Roseman taking a chance, jumping up a little bit, and trading with the Kansas City Chiefs and getting Jihad Campbell. But somebody behind them must have been calling and thinking they were going to lose Campbell at that point in time, which I find it a little interesting that they jumped up at the end of the first round, but they did. So, man.
How concerned are people about Will Johnson's knee or him coming back from this injury?
Yeah.
He's still out there. I thought the Eagles would take him. I'm like, oh, great. He's going to fall right into Howie Roseman's lap and the knee will magically fix itself and he'll be great.
Right.
No, he's still out there.
Yeah. Kind of a weird time to jump up, but it had to be somebody in that second round when we were talking about that a little bit earlier, when you're sitting there thinking to yourself, okay, who might be a team that wants – it could have been the Texans because the Texans are concentrating on defense. It could have been the Texans who maybe were calling and thinking, can we take a trade? Can we jump up? I don't think it would have been Tennessee. But if they want to go defense again, because I got to think that the Cleveland Browns are going to take Shedeur Sanders. Because I don't really see, put it this way, if Shedeur Sanders does not go to the Cleveland Browns in the beginning of the second round, where does he go? Think about this. You would assume he's not going to go to Tennessee because they just took Cam Ward. So that's out. Not going to go to Las Vegas. Not going to go to the Patriots or the Bears.
I was going to say Raiders. I know they just signed Geno, but you wouldn't take a flyer if he was there in the second round if you're the Raiders?
Maybe, I guess.
You could.
You could.
It's not super clean, though. They did sign Geno to an extension.
Yeah,
I forgot
they
about
signed
that.
him to an extension. Yeah. So interesting stuff. We have not heard anything from Mike Clemens as of yet, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I have not heard from the guy. He's probably in the bowels. My guess is we get him for 8 minutes at the end.
Yeah,
I would guess.
Probably hear from Mike. I will probably get tomorrow on the program, by the way, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're going to break down round one. We're going to start to take a look at round two. We're going to hear from Brian Gutekunst. We're going to hear from Mike Clemens tomorrow, probably a lot from Mike Clemens tomorrow. And we are going to hear from the Green Bay Packers first round pick, Matthew Golden, tomorrow as well on the program. So all of that will be upcoming tomorrow. I guarantee it. But with the Packers drafting a little bit later and still down in the media auditorium at this point in the bowels of Lambeau Field, and Mike Clemens being there as well, which, by the way, if you haven't followed Mike, I'll kind of forward his stuff over on Facebook. But Mike has had a tremendous seat inside Lambeau Field in the network suite that we have. Mike's been there taking pictures of the crowd and everybody that was in Lambeau Field watching all of this. So really kind of cool stuff. And we'll bring it all to you tomorrow as well. Don't forget, Ross Tucker is going to join us on Monday. We are efforting John Cooper from Our Lad Scouting Services, hoping to get John on Monday to kind of break down the draft with us. So a big day coming up tomorrow, a big day coming up on Monday. We'll talk about everything. Plus tomorrow, we'll do a little bit of a preview of the Bucs for Game 3 back at the Fiserv Forum tomorrow night against Indiana and taking on the Pacers. And also we'll break down the Brewers and get ready for the St. Louis Cardinals series. And then on Monday, we'll break down everything that's happened over the weekend. So we got a lot in store for you regarding the program. So there you go. We got one more team on the clock. One more team on the clock, and that's it. And that'll wrap up, officially end the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. So, there you go. The Chiefs did not trade back yet again. The Chiefs pick is in. So there you go. The Chiefs pick is in, and that will then conclude tonight's first round. Here we go. Mike, did you just get that, Grant? Let's do this. Let's take a break because Mike Clemens just shot me some stuff. Apparently, Mike has got some stuff from Matthew Golden, And let's do this. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll hear some things that Matthew Golden had to say. Matthew Golden did not come directly into the media auditorium. Matthew Golden did it via Zoom from backstage over at the Resch Center. So they had a chance to talk to him. And we will hear some of that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We still got more. We got another segment yet to go. We're going to hear from the first-round draft choice of the Green Bay Packers, Matthew Golden, a couple of things that he had to say. One of the things on the Rich Eisen show the other day as well. Don't go anywhere. We still have more. The Kansas City Chiefs, let's do this. Are they going to the stage to kind of wrap this up? Is that what? Because I don't want to break away and then have the commissioner. Let's do this. We'll hang on because the commissioner should be coming to the stage momentarily.
Yeah, we got a couple of minutes. We can play these cuts for the last segment.
Here it is. Here's the commissioner wrapping up the draft. Here we go. The first round.
With the 32nd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Josh Simmons, tackle, Ohio
Offensive
State.
line. They got rid of Tunney. Tunney ends up going over to the Chicago Bears. They needed a tackle, and Josh Simmons fell in the first round right into their lap in Kansas City. That's Kansas City, man. Just there it is. Josh Simmons, the big 6'4", 300. They say he's 317, but that guy, if he's 317, I'm carrying a beer wagon in my ass. There's no way. That guy's a big dude, man. Big dude. We saw him. That's a big cat. So you get Josh Simmons to now be your tackle if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, and your left tackle at that, because Tony did such a fantastic job. And remember, they've been trying to get a left tackle for quite some time. They needed a left tackle. And Josh Simmons, boy, that cat is a monster. He's a monster. All right, let's do this. We'll break away. Stay tuned. We'll wrap things up. We'll hear from Matthew Golden when we come back. Don't go anywhere. You're going to want to hear all of this. Coming up next on our 2025 NFL Draft coverage on the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It is our live coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft, the entire first round, top to bottom. It is now culminated in Green Bay. The crowds begin to thin, heading out of the gates, finding their vehicles safely parked in $100 to $200 parking spots. And now they head off to parts unknown to get some rest, maybe party. If you're a team, a fan of a team that you feel had a really good night tonight, then you're out doing a little celebration. Maybe if you're a Green Bay Packers fan, Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas, the 4.29 guy, really, really good speed. And he ends up becoming the Green Bay Packers 23rd pick this evening. 23rd pick this evening. Mike Clemens live inside Lambeau Field. We hope to catch Mike at some point if we can. If not, we know Mike's going to join us tomorrow on the program as we begin to break down round 2, 3, 4 of the NFL draft and what's coming up. What the Packers' needs still are. Grant Bill's in studio. And this is a couple of different things when you talk about, Matthew Golden. First of all, he was on the Rich Eisen's show. And he was asked when he met Brian Gutekunst, had he met Brian Gutekunst before, and he said, yeah, I was visiting these guys. These guys and the Cowboys were both interested in me.
It's definitely not my first time meeting with him. I had a meeting with him 2 weeks ago. Got around the coaching staff, the organization. They did a tremendous job up there. You could tell the culture there is different. I met a lot of the guys and, it felt like home to me.
Did you visit here? So this is not your first trip to Green Bay?
It's not my first trip.
Okay. So they brought you in. Who else have you personally visited?
I met with Houston, Pittsburgh, Broncos, Detroit.
Have you personally visited with the Dallas Cowboys?
Yes, sir.
Hey, have you met Jerry Jones?
Yes, sir.
Oh, what was that about?
It was cool, man. He actually FaceTimed my mom off of my phone, just told her she did a great job raising me. Just congratulated her for, the hard work she put in to raise me the right way. It was a cool experience for me.
So you're meeting with him and he's like, grab your phone, let's FaceTime mom.
Yeah, just like that. It was my mom pretty busy throughout the day, so I knew she was going to be busy. She answered and she was surprised. Like, this is what I said. I say, Mom, I got a surprise for you. Gave the phone. I call him Coach Jerry. That's what I call him. So I said, gave the phone to Coach Jerry. He was talking to her for a good 5 to 10 minutes.
Which is really interesting. And the reason why is this story, Grant, sounds a lot like Donald Driver's story, because Donald Driver grew up in really hard times. He admits some of the things that he had done as a youngster. Obviously, kind of living homeless, trying to make ends meet in any way he possibly could. Some of them not on the up and up. And then you look at a kid like Matthew Golden, who grew up homeless in Brenham, Texas, down near Houston. And now the difference is Donald Driver was a 7th round draft choice. Matthew Golden, coming out of the same circumstance now, he is a 1st round draft choice for the Green Bay Packers. Here's what he had to say.
Just knowing everything I've been through to get here, it wasn't easy. Just thinking back on everything I went through, the adversity that I faced. I feel like, I went through everything I did for a reason. Growing up, me and my mom, struggled a lot. We stayed in hotels when I was younger. That was kind of hard for me, At times we couldn't pay for rooms. We had to stay in front of Walmart in Brenham, Texas. And at that time, a friend reached out to me, gave me his hand. And I ended up moving in with him 3 years of high school. I ended up I call him my uncle, his name Kevin Johnson. I ended up meeting him, played a big role, in my success through high school and college. From there, it just kind of went on. I got granted the opportunity to play at the next level, and I just took it from there. It's just crazy, because a lot of people would have gave up. A lot of people couldn't make it through what I went through. I just think back to that all the time, whenever I do play football, I try to just think back to those times that, I struggled in and I wanted to give up. People doubted me, didn't think I was going to make it here. I always had my people around me. And just to be here, it mean a lot to me.
Matthew Golden just got finished meeting with the media, and I want to take a few minutes out of this. So for those of you listening parts unknown or watching us over on the live stream, take a listen. This is Matthew Golden. Tonight, right after he left the stage, he went and did a Zoom call with the Green Bay media, all the media for the Green Bay Packers. He Zoomed from over at the Resch Center into the Packers media auditorium. Here's about 2-3 minutes of Matthew Golden talking to the media. Take a listen.
Hey, were you aware at all that the Packers hadn't taken a first-round receiver since 2002? And also, what does that mean to you? And how much contact did you have with the Packers besides your visit?
Yeah, no, I definitely knew they didn't take a receiver from that long ago. And, I had a good relationship with them when I came up here on my visit. I got around the coaching staff and, I seen how the culture was here, and I enjoyed it.
I'm curious, how much significance does that carry to you? It's obviously special to be drafted in the first round regardless, but for a team that's been over 2 decades not taking your position in the first round, does that carry extra significance to you?
Yeah, it definitely means a lot more. It's always been a dream of mine to go in the first round. And to know that they haven't picked a receiver since 2002, man, is truly a blessing.
Can you just describe the feeling of walking out there in front of that whole crowd?
I never felt nothing like it. Man, it was. I wish I could go back out there right now, man. It was so cool. The energy that the Packer fans got, man. I could just feel it, and I'm so excited to be here. I'm glad the organization picked me.
Cody Krupp. Hey, man, congratulations. Hope you can hear me. You talked about wanting to buy your grandma's house back. Just this moment now that it's official and getting that opportunity to do it for her and for your guys' family.
Yeah, that's the house I grew up in when I was younger. And like I said, it got taken away from us a couple of years ago. Just knowing that I'm in a position to be able to get that back, for all my family, my little cousins that grew up there, just for everybody to go back home, just feel that energy. That's something my grandma always wanted. And before my great-grandma died, she always wanted one of her grandsons to make it to the NFL. I'm the last one standing in, and I made it, so I know she's proud of me.
Matt Schneidman. Matthew, can you give us a scouting report on yourself? And are you the kind of guy who's going to walk across the street to get a workout in tonight?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely. All my visits, man, I was always working out, but, that's something they can expect out of me as a hard worker. I'm committed to the process, but, I'm a dog and I'm a competitor. Each day I'm trying to get better, 1% better and just perfect my craft. And, I'm bringing that dog mentality.
Is that it?
Yep, that's the last question.
Okay, that was the last question. There
2.5 minutes.
And right now live, Goody is speaking inside the auditorium, and I was trying to catch parts of that as well, both on the internet. The one thing that Goody alluded to when they talked about Matthew Golden coming into the system is the fact that he really believes with what Matt LaFleur and the offensive staff can do. When they were asked about whether or not Golden, he's going to be the outside guy consistently, and is Jaden Reed going to be inside, and Romeo Dobbs, and he said, look, the bottom line is this. He now, meaning Matt, has numerous weapons, and it's up to Matt to now, and he has confidence in him. It wasn't like, oh, by the way, I've got you your guys. Now you better make something out of it. But basically said that the way they can scheme up an offense, they now have enough guys to create mismatches and to scheme guys open that it should take the pressure off of a lot of guys. Now, obviously, mass injury can wipe that out, but that just they have a lot of faith in the offensive scheme and what Matt LaFleur's offensive scheme can do to scheme guys open. So he feels like offensive weaponry, they're really well set. He went through the list of what you and I went through earlier, Grant, when we were talking about Marshawn Lloyd and Josh Jacobs and Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft and Sims. And then obviously, hopefully the elevated play, which should help the elevated play and help to elevate the play of Jordan Love. And now you got Golden, you got Wicks, you got Dobbs, you got Reed, you still got Malik Heath, you still got McCall Hardman, you still got Bo Melton. You have all those guys there. They've upgraded the offensive line. Like, there's a lot there to kind of chew on. I still think they're going to get an offensive lineman yet before this draft ends, but now it's going to be, 100%. We are going to continue to feed the beast that is Jeff Hafley, and let's see what he can do with some of the additional guys that they bring in on this team. So we're going to have full tomorrow. So coming up on the program tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Time, we're going to have all the comments coming from Brian Gutekunst tonight, as he is just wrapping things up in the media auditorium. We're going to hear from Mike Clemens tomorrow. We'll continue to break all of this down. We'll talk a little bit about the preview for the Milwaukee Bucks, about the series in San Francisco for the Brewers, and the look ahead to the St. Louis Cardinals. All of that is coming up tomorrow on the program. But, man, what a day. What a day. You've been on the air since, 10 this morning. I was in Green Bay yesterday and then today, and battled the traffic through Milwaukee coming home in a 40-foot bus, bringing the tour bus back home and getting that set up, and then the studio set up. And both of us earned a little sleep time tonight, and then we're all going to get back at it again tomorrow and break this all down. Tonight, huge numbers on the stream, huge numbers on the broadcast. To everybody all throughout the great state of Wisconsin that are listening to us in the over-the-air and all the radio stations from Menominee, Marinette down to Madison, Wisconsin, to Platteville. We had fans from Platteville up there today, to Rice Lake, everywhere in between. Thanks to everybody for hanging out with us tonight, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow. We'll be bringing you all the analysis. We'll take a deeper dive into Matthew Golden, who you just heard there. All he wants to do is buy his grandmother's house back. That's it. He remembers where he came from. And usually guys like that are really, really hungry. So I'm looking forward at some point talking to him. But thanks to everybody. This was a fast and furious night. It always is. And we'll get back into the speculation who the Packers may or may not take coming up tomorrow. If you follow us and you like tonight, please subscribe over on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michael Show. Hit us up, like us, all that kind of good stuff. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. And we got bigger and better things on the horizon. Absolutely, for sure. Until we talk again, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning? 11 hours from now? Holy crap. Until we talk again, 11 hours from now,